Chapter 101, Lu Jingming's Venomous Tongue. Juju Qing was closest to Lu Jingming and caught his low murmur instantly. Her pupils snapped tight, and her rosy lips parted as she tried to warn her teammates, but everything happened too fast. Boom! A wild, violent surge of spirit power rolled out like ocean waves, whipping a fierce current that swept everything nearby. At the same time, crimson lightning, like wildly dancing electric snakes, spread without warning, carrying an unmistakable aura of destruction. The shockwave threw Juju Qing through the air. The powerful white light beam and red firewire, meeting the crimson lightning, were instantly undone like ice beneath the blazing sun, breaking into countless shimmering fragments of spirit power that drifted away as if they had never existed. How is this possible? Yu Xiaogang, who had clearly watched the scene, could no longer keep his usual cold, composed expression. His normally steady eyes filled with disbelief, his mouth hanging slightly open. Ningrongrong and Juju King stared in the same stupefied way, shock and confusion written across their faces as they looked at the figure entwined with the crimson bolts. What stunned them most was not merely that Ma Hongjun's and Dai Mubai's spirit abilities had been rendered ineffective, but the spirit rings on Lu Jingming, 2 purple and 1 black. This configuration overturned everything they had believed about the system, shattering their understanding and making the situation seem unreal. This can't be. How could such a spirit ring configuration exist? This is fake. This is the simulated world. It's all fabricated. Yu Xiaogang muttered, shaking his head as if refusing to accept it. In his mind, the theories he had researched and summarized over the years were absolutely right. Nothing should defy them. He tried to convince himself this was a fantasy, a virtual construct of the simulated world, and that such a spirit master could not exist in reality. Beyond Yu Xiaogang, whose Dao heart had taken a serious blow, Oscar and the others were left utterly awestruck. The terrifying spirit ring arrangement stirred an involuntary fear deep in their hearts. Lu Jingming gave them no time to recover. His icy gaze locked onto Juju King's direction, and he unhesitatingly unleashed his first spirit ability, Withering Spiral. Dark purple energy, compressed into a destructive light, coalesced into a rotating cone and shot out at terrifying speed. Wherever it passed, the air seemed to be sliced by a razor, emitting a high, piercing cry. White Tiger Vajra Transformation, White Tiger Barrier. Dai Mubai's body flashed with golden light, and a majestic white tiger phantom coalesced behind him with an earth-shaking roar. He leapt in front of Juju King, a thick golden light shield expanding rapidly around him to protect her. The barrier shattered like glass. With a crisp, splintering sound, the supposedly indestructible light dissolved. Dai Mubai stared in disbelief at the gaping hole torn in his chest as blood gushed out and stained his clothes. "Boss Dai! Ju Qing!" Ningrongrong's terrified cry rang out. Dai Mubai turned his head with effort and saw Zhu Qing's body pierced and already breaking apart into light particles. Pain and unwillingness filled his eyes. His lips trembled as if he might speak, but he closed his eyes and went limp. An ant trying to stop a chariot. Lu Jingming's voice was flat, expression cold. Withering Spiral was the bane of defense-type spirit masters. Even strong defensive abilities fell apart before it. The so-called unbreakable white tiger barrier was instantly decomposed and pierced. Dai Mubai's chest rent open, and Juju King mercilessly taken behind him. Using his spirit talent, Lu Jingming's attributes had been grimly enhanced. Without hesitation, after killing Dai Mubai and Juju King, he moved with lightning speed. The long spear in his hand became a dragon, carrying chilling intent. Its tip arrived at Ma Hongjun's glabella in an instant. Don't even think about it. Second spirit ability, Charm. Xiao Wu's 3 spirit rings flashed. She had first used her 3rd spirit ability, Teleportation, to appear beside Lu Jingming, then immediately released her 2nd spirit ability. A layer of pink light covered her eyes, laden with irresistible temptation, aimed to disturb Lu Jingming's mind. Spiderweb Restraint. Almost at the same time, Tang San waved both hands and launched a blue-purple mass of light at Lu Jingming like a meteor. In midair, the mass formed a huge spiderweb of blue-silver grass, chilling and vast, enveloping Lu Jingming from above. "You overestimate yourself." Lu Jingming snorted. Trying to charm him, this little rabbit hadn't learned. His potent mental force surged out and instantly shattered the pink light invading his sea of consciousness. Pfft! The backlash spat a mouthful of fresh blood from Xiao Wu's mouth. Her face went ashen. She didn't give up. Enduring the dizziness, her first spirit ring glowed faintly. In a blaze of pink lightning, she ensnared Lu Jingming, her legs wrapped around his neck, and with a powerful twist of her waist, she flung him toward Tang San's spiderweb. Ma Hongjun reacted too. His eyes aflame with anger, he unleashed his second spirit ability, Phoenix bathing in fire, spewing a thicker line of flame at Lu Jingming. The incendiary stream seared as if meant to reduce him to ash. Impressive willpower. Even in Ning Rongrong's and Oscar's eyes, Lu Jingming seemed to be in grave danger, but he appeared unconcerned enough to praise Xiao Wu. That she could endure spirit ability backlash, use her first spirit ability, and hurl him at Tang San's spiderweb restraint spoke to why she had once been a 100,000-year spirit beast in human form. Though she'd lost the title-level Douluo power, years of tempering had made her will far tougher than normal people's, but there were few spirit abilities capable of restraining him. Decomposition thunder wrapped around his whole body. Any approaching spirit power would be ruthlessly decomposed. Across the Douluo Continent, control-type spirit masters who could bind him were rare, countable on one's fingers. As Lu Jingming expected, the moment the spiderweb closed in, crimson lightning surged. In the blink of an eye, everything was decomposed cleanly. The blue-silvergrass spiderweb turned to ash before it could hold him. Ma Hongjun's Phoenix Firewire likewise failed to break through the crimson lightning's defense. Lu Jingming counterattacked. The fire line disintegrated under his power. He arrived before Ma Hongjun in an instant. An evil fire chicken. Can you even be called a phoenix? Lu Jingming taunted, then delivered a terrifying kick as if the air itself exploded. Ma Hongjun's body was launched like a cannonball, trailing rupturing air. He flew back, leaving a gash more than 10 meters long in the ground. His soft, muddy form made it clear he was dead, killed instantly by Lu Jingming's blow. Lu Jingming didn't turn. With a backhand, he flung the black long spear. It flashed, a streak too fast for the eye to follow. Xiao Wu groaned and lowered her head, bewildered, as the spear pierced her chest. Xiao Wu! Tang San's anguished cry split the air. He moved with ghost shadow perplexing track, his figure blurring with afterimages as he rushed to her at full speed. But everything had happened too quickly. There was no time to save her. Tang San could only watch helplessly as Xiao Wu's form dissolved into light particles. His heart felt as though pierced by 1,000 needles. Why are you crying? She isn't really dead. Lu Jingming looked at Tang San's reddened eyes with some incredulity. In his view, death in the simulated universe was only a temporary state of mental lethargy. It didn't warrant such an emotional collapse. He had killed Guyue countless times in simulations. She never reacted like Tang San. You deserve to die. Tang San knew Xiao Wu wasn't truly gone, but he couldn't bear to see her harmed, let alone killed before his eyes. Enraged, he no longer held back. His figure flickered, and he plunged a hand into 24 moonlit bridges. The storage spirit tool glimmered as he quickly drew out various hidden weapons, his movements practiced and rapid. He activated Mysterious Jade Hand. His palms glowed with pure white radiance, like warm jade. His hands became afterimages, so fast they blurred. A storm of throwing knives, bone-piercing nails, poison needles, and other hidden weapons shot toward Lu Jingming with sharp, whistling screams. Among them were a few golden filaments, dragonbeard needles, thin as hair, Tang San's most treasured and powerful weapons at this stage. He hurled every meticulously crafted weapon he had, confidence burning in his eyes. Tang Sect hidden weapons had wrought miracles before. Tang San had felled even immovable King Zhao Wuji with them. He trusted his weapons implicitly. This time, however, he faced Lu Jingming, whose power was decomposition. Before that force, every throwing knife, poison needle, and priceless dragonbeard needle was useless. The moment they neared his body, they were decomposed back to their most primitive materials and dissipated into nothing. For Lu Jingming, decomposing matter was even easier than decomposing spirit power. All things in the world were as fragile as paper beneath his force. This was the power of the authority of death, granting death to all things. Chapter 102, Corridor of Eternal Tribulation. Weak and emotional, raging in vain. Lu Jingming shook his head slowly as he watched Tang San's turmoil. He truly wondered how a man in Tang San's frame of mind could ever have been an assassin in his previous life. If someone couldn't control his emotions, how could he be a competent killer? In Lu Jingming's view, if Tang San weren't backed by an unusually strong background and his opponents weren't hopelessly smitten, Tang San would already have died 1,000 times over. Second spirit ability, Corridor of Eternal Tribulation. Lu Jingming no longer intended to waste time with Tang San. This spirit elder before him was still too weak. His combat relied heavily on hidden weapons, and hidden weapons were useless against decomposition. Lu Jingming slammed his spear, Black Abyss, into the ground with a backhand. In an instant, a rolling black mist surged outward, spreading to a radius of 30 meters. Everything the simulated universe had rendered, the soil, the trees, the rocks, fell from order into chaos under the influence of that power, collapsing completely. Tang San, caught in the spreading black mist, was not spared. A small hammer had just formed in his left hand, but before he could use it, the mist swallowed him. In the blink of an eye, he was decomposed, erased as if he had never existed in that world. This was Lu Jingming's second spirit ability, the Corridor of Eternal Tribulation. As a large-scale destructive ability, anyone of lower rank than Lu Jingming caught in it would be decomposed instantly, without even time to resist. Even spirit masters of higher rank, if trapped in that black mist for long enough, would be gradually eroded and annihilated by its deathly power. Only the two of you are left, a support type and a sustenance type spirit master. I'm not even going to bother fighting, just end yourselves. Lu Jingming walked from the mist, the aura of death still clinging to the air. The black spear rested casually on his shoulder. His expression was relaxed as he looked at Oscar and Ning Rongrong, the only two still standing. Only when he approached did Oscar and Ning Rongrong get a good look at him. The young man had white hair and red eyes, a handsome face, and an air of natural nobility. He looked about their age. He looks good, but his attitude's annoying, Ning Rongrong thought, though her face showed little fear. She knew well that in the simulated universe, one wouldn't truly die, and the challenge allowed for surrender. Her finger already hovered over the surrender option. Juju King and the others hadn't had a choice. Lu Jingming's attacks struck so quickly and fiercely that they were instant kills, leaving no time to surrender. Tang San had had a chance, but Xiao Wu's death threw him into turmoil. His desire for revenge blinded him and led to his own instant annihilation. Ning Rongrong didn't want to die. Seeing how ruthlessly Lu Jingming had slaughtered Juju King and Xiao Wu, she suspected he would show no mercy to women. Without further hesitation, she surrendered and left the simulated universe. Oscar, with their team defeated, had no option but to follow. With Ning Rongrong and Oscar's withdrawal, the simulation ended. The Shrek 7 Devils had failed the challenge. Lu Jingming exited the simulated universe as well. As for the torment they had suffered inside, that had been the work of the simulated data entity. What did it have to do with the real person? Tang San wouldn't take out his anger on the actual Lu Jingming for the deeds of a simulation, would he? When Ning Rongrong and Oscar returned, they found Juju King and the others pale and shaken. Unlike them, who had actively surrendered, Juju King and the rest had truly died within the simulation and were still reeling from the terror of it. All 7 of us wiped out by a single spirit elder. This has to be fake, Ma Hongjun wailed, clutching his head, despondent. He could already imagine Grandmaster's strict punishment. The thought made his scalp prickle. Third brother, are you all right? Xiao Wu asked Tang San, worry written on her face. Tang San looked worst of all, pale, his eyes heavy with disappointment and despair. I'm fine, Xiao Wu. We're just not strong enough yet. We have a long way to go. Tang San forced a smile and shook his head. It was less the mental exhaustion that bothered him and more the realization that his proud Tang sect hidden weapons were utterly ineffective against Lu Jingming. That truth made him question whether the hidden weapons path he'd devoted himself to was the right one. Was true power only attainable by focusing on spirit cultivation, the way Lu Jingming had? All right, children, go rest. This isn't your fault. The opponent was simply too strong, Flender said, stepping forward when he saw the heavy atmosphere and Tang San lost in thought. He had watched the entire fight. In power, speed, mental force, spirit power, and spirit abilities, the enemy had thoroughly crushed Tang San and the others. Even with Ningrongrong's 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda support, the gap was too enormous to bridge. Flender believed that although the opponent appeared to be at Spirit Elder rank, even a Spirit King would have a hard time defeating that monstrous young man. Among the Shrek 7 devils, only Tang San, Xiao Wu, Oscar, and Dai Mubai were Spirit Elders. The other 3 were still Spirit Grandmasters. Given such disparity, failure was not shameful. I've never heard of anyone named Lu Jingming. He shouldn't exist, right? A spirit ring configuration like that. There must have been news, Dai Mubai said tightly. He kept close tabs on intelligence, yet had never heard of anyone with such a configuration. If such a person truly existed, the whole Douluo Continent would have been shaken long ago. Boss Dai's probably right. It must be something from that illusory world. There can't really be a spirit elder even third brother can't beat, Xiao Wu agreed quickly. As a 100,000-year spirit beast in human form, she found it hard to accept that a human could be that strong. Third brother was already formidable. If even he couldn't defeat such a person, then it was beyond her imagination. Is that really so? Ningrongrong fell into thought. She couldn't join the others in dismissing Lu Jingming as unreal. She remembered what Grandpa Bone had said when he brought her the spirit tool. Grandpa Sword had made a major breakthrough in his Tao of the Sword because of someone he met in the illusory world. Grandpa had warned her not to underestimate that seemingly unreal world. Ningrongrong felt the sharp-tongued, proud young man might indeed exist in the real world. After tormenting the first-generation Shrek 7 devils in the simulated universe, Lu Jingming's life returned to calm. After successfully absorbing a 100,000-year Ban Mountain Ape spirit ring and a 100,000-year left arm spirit bone, his cultivation leapt 5 ranks, rocketing to rank 55. But spirit power gained through absorbing spirit rings and spirit bones was somewhat unstable. He spent much time refining and solidifying that newfound power into his own. Haiyuan City bustled with preparations for the All-Continent Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Duel Tournament. The city was full of busy figures and orderly preparations. Across the Douluo Continent, nothing major disturbed the peace. Life went on quietly. In those tranquil days, Lu Jingming's life felt pleasant and full. He cultivated, studied, played, and occasionally beat on Guyu. In the evenings, he sought out Zhang Lexuan or entered the simulated universe to meet Shu Juju. He felt he could live like that forever without growing tired. Each day brought freshness and expectation. But calm always yields to the occasional stir. St. Freya Academy had recently enrolled a special new student. She was no ordinary newcomer. Upon entering the academy, she had passed the 4-star holographic strategy with outstanding performance and been rated an A-level student. That alone hadn't satisfied her pride. She often came to challenge Guyue and Robin, trying to prove herself. After a few lessons from them, she had mellowed some, though she still sometimes sought them out. Now that new A-level student, a blonde girl, stood before Lu Jingming, blocking his path. Her eyes shone with fervor as she addressed him. I've already challenged all the other S-level students. Apart from Miss Robin, only you are left, Lord City Master. Her voice was clear and firm. Despite his status as City Master, she showed no fear as she fixed him with her gaze. Chapter 103, Ye Gui. The golden-haired girl looked about a year younger than Lu Jingming, but her porcelain doll face and well-developed, curvaceous figure made her impossible to dismiss as an ordinary child. She carried herself with a stubborn confidence, as if nothing in the world could stop her pursuit of strength. Sister Gui, you can't even beat Sister Guye. How could you stand a chance against Brother Jingming? The twin sisters Lan Susu and Lan Luoluo fretted. They had grown into graceful young women, like spring flowers in bloom, radiating youthful vitality. Popular at St. Freya Academy for their cheerful personalities, they had quickly become close friends with the newly enrolled Ye Gai. Now their faces showed genuine anxiety. They didn't want her to be humiliated by Lu Jingming. I know, Ye Gui said, but that isn't a reason for me to give up. A stubborn light flashed in her eyes. Competitiveness ran in her blood. Deep down, she harbored an unyielding spirit. Being rated only an A-level student had always bugged her, and after losing to Gu Yue and others, she had done her soul-searching. Her cultivation was far from enough. To her, challenging a stronger opponent was like climbing a peak. Every fight was cultivation, every defeat a lesson toward a breakthrough. At St. Freya Academy, aside from powerful teachers, only the S-level students were above her. So whenever she felt a breakthrough approaching, she sought out S-level challengers to test herself in real combat, spurring herself onward. Lu Jingming rubbed his forehead helplessly. He knew this girl, Ye Gei, had been sent by Shangguan Weier, leader of the Ordinary Alliance. The Ordinary Alliance in Haiyuan City had long maintained covert ties. It wasn't seen as betraying the Star Luo Empire. Even the Xingluo royal family had dealings with some forces in the Sun Moon Empire. After all, where would Mingde Hall get so many spirit tool materials if not through channels like the Ordinary Alliance? The materials Heita needed for research, and the various spirit tool parts used to build Haiyuan City, usually came through the Alliance's smuggling networks. In return, the Ordinary Alliance obtained spirit tools made by Heita and even the latest spirit tool technical data. That long-standing cooperation had always been mutually beneficial and non-interfering. The Ordinary Alliance expanded its influence mainly in the Sun Moon Empire, while Haiyuan City was rooted in the Star Luo Empire, so their interests did not clash. The Alliance also needed the Wuchang Division's muscle to deal with rivals, the Aodu Merchant Guild, and the rapidly rising Shishui Alliance. The Ordinary Alliance was powerful in its own right. Shangguan Weier was a titled Douluo with wide connections, respected in the Sun Moon Empire's aristocratic circles. But the Aodu Merchant Guild was backed by the military, and the Shishui Alliance's background was even more terrifying, linked to the royal family and backed by mysterious, formidable forces. Recently, Shangguan Weier had felt a crisis. The Alliance's businesses were being squeezed and smuggling profits were under attack. To protect itself and contend with those other underground powers, the Ordinary Alliance hired the Wuchang Division as an ally. Lu Jingming had also intervened. He had sent Ji Yingying to oversee the alliance. After years of cooperation, he couldn't just watch an old partner fall. To strengthen ties, Shangguan Weier selected several promising young women to send to St. Freya Academy to study, Ye Guyi among them. According to Shangguan, Ye Guyi had been a wanderer who drifted into the Sun Moon Empire in trouble and was rescued by the Ordinary Alliance. To repay them, she stayed on as a temporary member. Shangguan liked her not just out of sentiment. Ye Gi possessed the legendary Holy Angel Spirit, a deadly bane to evil soul masters. As a leader of an underground force with aristocratic backing, Shangguan had long felt the tremors beneath the Sun Moon Empire. What went on in Mingdu was not as invisible to her as commoners believed. The Holy Spirit cult's moves in Mingdu might have been hidden from most, but for those who worked the underworld for years, it was harder to conceal. Shangguan suspected the newly rising Shishui Alliance had ties to the Holy Spirit cult. It was too dangerous for someone like Ye Gai, bearing a holy angel spirit, to remain in Mingdu. At first, she thought to keep Ye Gai hidden until she was strong enough to face evil soul masters herself, but she had underestimated the Holy Spirit cult and overestimated the Alliance's ability to protect the girl. When conflict with the Shishui Alliance erupted, the Shishui side suddenly dispatched several titled Douluo-level evil soul masters. Caught off guard, the Ordinary Alliance suffered heavy losses. It was Ji Yingying who ultimately intervened, severely wounding those evil soul master titled Douluo and helping the Alliance avert disaster. That battle sobered Shangguan. She realized just how powerful the forces behind the Shishui Alliance were and no longer dared to be complacent. She immediately arranged to have Ye Gui and several other promising girls sent to Haiyuan City as quickly as possible. On Sun Moon Empire soil, the royal family and evil soul masters colluded in secret. Relationships were dangerous and complex. If Ye Gai remained in Mingdu and her holy angel spirit were exposed, she would be killed. No one in the Sun Moon Empire could protect her. Outside the Sun Moon Empire, the situation changed. Evil soul masters operated stealthily, rarely revealing themselves for fear of being hunted by the Shrek monitoring group. All members of the monitoring group were Shrek inner disciples, young, ruthless, and fearless. Whether it was evil soul masters or corrupt nobles, They were the targets of the groups. For years, their number had been deliberately kept under 200 because the missions they carried out were so hazardous. In countless clashes with evil soul masters, many inner disciples had died. Despite their sacrifices, they eliminated mostly minor evil figures. The truly powerful evil soul masters had largely joined the Holy Spirit cult and hid in the shadows, waiting to make bigger moves. Lu Jingming valued Ye Gai for reasons beyond gratitude. The holy angel spirit she possessed was, in some respects, comparable to the ultimate spirits. It had a unique trait. When Ye Gai killed evil soul masters, she could absorb spirit power as feedback, making her cultivation speed directly proportional to how many evil soul masters she dispatched. The angel family's glory dated back 10,000 years, when the angel god Qian Renshui shone brightly. But she was ultimately defeated, and the angel family seemed to vanish afterward. The purges following that defeat had left the family weakened and scattered. Many of those secrets were unknown to most, but Lu Jingming knew them well. 10,000 years ago, there were no evil soul masters as a dominant force. The first angel god had ascended to the god position by purifying evil and gathering the faith of all beings. The spirit hall, led by the angel family, suppressed evil. Now, a millennium later, evil soul masters had grown exceptionally strong and become the largest force on the Douluo Continent for a variety of reasons. Slaughter City, once a natural prison for evil soul masters, had been destroyed by the sea god Tangsan. The angel family had declined, and the angel spirit that once restrained evil soul masters had disappeared. Without those restraints, evil soul masters acted with increasing impunity. Spirit masters who carried the angel spirit could fight above their rank against evil soul masters. Killing an evil soul master many ranks higher was not unheard of for them. That made Ye Gai a target. Once evil soul masters learned of her existence, relentless pursuit would follow. Lu Jingming, however, was not worried. The ordinary alliance might not be able to protect her, but he had the confidence and strength to do so. When it came to Shrek Academy, because of the sea god Tangsan's influence and the Academy's positive public image, Lu Jingming avoided direct confrontation. He had let gluttonous Duoluo Xuanzi go before for that reason. But he had no such qualms about the Holy Spirit cult. If the cult came knocking, he would meet them with force. His plan was to have Ye Gai go out and seek evil soul masters to kill, to train her in real combat and speed her growth. Although the angel god's god position was shattered, the angel god had once been one of the 32 main gods in the god realm. If Ye Gai was lucky and worked hard, it would not be impossible for her to recondense the angel god position and ascend to a first-rank god. Chapter 104. Mobius Lu Jingming wasn't about to give up on Ye Gai. She was a potential asset, one with enormous value and possibilities. He knew, however, that some god king certainly wouldn't want the angel god to regain her god position. That likely included sea god Tangsan. Still, Lu Jingming didn't care. A clash with Tangsan was inevitable in his plan. Who could blame him for transmigrating to the Douluo Continent of all places? If he'd landed on a different plane, there might have been fewer conflicts. Here, his rise would inevitably interfere with Tangsan's carefully crafted Millennium Plan. There was little room for compromise unless one of them bowed. Neither Tangsan nor Lu Jingming would. So the final battle was only a matter of time, and Lu Jingming had been quietly making comprehensive preparations. Tangsan held the core of the god realm and commanded many divinities. Lu Jingming would not face Tangsan alone, but a host of divinities aligned with him. Tangsan had enemies like the god of destruction, but Lu Jingming didn't trust that alliance, especially because the god of destruction's wife, the goddess of life, favored Tangsan, and the god of destruction was easily swayed by love. Even if he acted rashly against Tangsan, his wife could stab his efforts in the back. Other gods, goodness god Lian and the god of evil Ji Dong, might appear neutral, but they leaned toward Tangsan. Tangsan's foundation in the god realm was stabilizing. Toppling it would be difficult. So we must rely on ourselves, Lu Jingming murmured as Ye Gai was led away by Lan Susu and Lan Luoluo. If we're going to make enemies of the divinities, we'll need a devil king, don't you think, little snake? First came a slightly wild yandere voice from the void realm. Call me Dr. Mobius. And I'm an Archon. not some devil king. Space rippled like a pond struck by a stone. A figure materialized beside Lu Jingming, a tall, lithe young woman in a tight black and green battle suit etched with fine snakescale textures. Golden and neon green technological patterns shimmered over the material. Long green hair fell free with snake-shaped ornaments threaded through it. Her pupils were vertical and shifted from green to pink, predatory and inscrutable. Everything about her, her posture, her voice, radiated danger and allure in equal measure. "But being enemies of the divinities does sound interesting," she said, a dangerous smile curving her lips. Her snake-like eyes narrowed like a serpent tracking prey. "Don't even think about experimenting on me," Mobius added abruptly. "You can get my body data from Herta, but I am not a subject." Lu Jingming didn't have to guess what she meant. Mobius was nothing like Herta, brilliant but dangerously unpredictable. Herta's experiments were methodical and safe. Mobius's curiosity often bordered on chaotic ingenuity. She might suddenly decide to tinker with something of his and produce a bizarre, irreversible trinket. He had no inclination to lie on her table. "Boring," Mobius said, retracting her smile. "Afraid? No, I just understand you too well. Your adventurous streak is irresistible. If I had absolute certainty and complete control over creation's authority, going insane with you wouldn't be impossible." Lu Jingming shrugged. Mobius was a genius, but geniuses were the hardest to control. Herta, by contrast, felt sane enough to trust. Lu Jingming would lie on Herta's table without worrying his limbs might vanish or his humanity get suddenly revoked. Mobius, however, was different. "Save the best for last," Mobius murmured, fingers at her lips, her expression mischievous. "I want to see divinities on my operating table. How would they look? I'm very curious." "They probably wouldn't be pleased," Lu Jingming said, spreading his hands. He knew how divinities functioned in this world. Once a divinity condensed a god position and ascended to the god realm, they could live for ages. But a divinity without a god position, someone with no place in the god realm, was still subject to mortal lifespan. For low-ranked divinities, god positions were everything. For long-serving veteran divinities, a god position could mean confinement, responsibilities that chained them to the god realm and took away freedom. Many such divinities wanted to pass on their positions so they could leave and wander the universe. That was why someone like the Asura god, one of the god realm's law enforcers, had violated rules, contended with Tang San over a successor, and even meddled in lower realm affairs to aid Tang San. For Mobius, the possibility of studying immortality itself was irresistible, but to do so, she needed a living divinity with a god position. That made Lu Jingming's assignment to her especially attractive. Mobius had just arrived in this universe when Lu Jingming manifested her there. Her power form had already been reshaped to fit the world's rules, but everything here was new and fresh to her. Spirit masters, spirit beasts, souls, divinities, all sparked her research fervor. Still, she found some disappointment. Many things had already been explored by Herta, and Lu Jingming had handed Herta's research to Mobius at the first chance. The one technology that caught Mobius's attention most, the fusion warrior procedure, fusing human and spirit beast genes to create artificial spirit masters, was already near perfect under Herta. It had a high success rate, kept subjects fully human without beastification, preserved consciousness, and performed excellently. The only limitation was that fusion warriors couldn't grow stronger on their own. Mobius was confident she could fix that. After poring over Herta's data, she believed she could modify the procedure to enable artificial spirit masters to cultivate independently, even break through to divine rank. But she wasn't naive. She understood the politics of power. Those who hold control fear losing it. Fusion warriors were loyal to Lu Jingming, and he trusted them, but that didn't mean he would allow his creations unlimited autonomy. Leaving a flaw in the technology could be a deliberate safeguard. Lu Jingming could handle risks, but why invite unnecessary ones if a simple restriction would prevent trouble? "Go, little snake," Lu Jingming said, taking out an ice blue gem that radiated a biting cold and handing it to Mobius. "Form our Devil King alliance. Build our world serpent." Mobius's eyes lit when she saw the gem, familiar yet altered. She linked it to Lu Jingming's uncanny capabilities, and realization flashed across her face. She smiled, more enthusiastic than before. Dark green lightning crackled as a snake-shaped energy coiled and swallowed the ice blue gem. Mobius looked at him with the hunger of someone who'd found a rare treasure. "If it were another kind of liking," she teased, "I'd be very happy." Lu Jingming knew exactly what she meant. Mobius's liking was professional appreciation, not romantic affection. He wasn't foolish enough to think such a complex woman could fall for him so quickly. Her admiration was for a superior experimental subject. "Heh, if you let me study you, I might consider it," Mobius said, casually stroking her cheek and chuckling. She knew her appearance and the effect it had. "No thanks," Lu Jingming replied with a roll of his eyes. If Mobius considered something, she usually meant she would, with a 90% chance of actually doing it. He wasn't going to be lured onto an operating table for free. "All right," Mobius sighed theatrically. "Devil King Alliance, World Serpent. It's settled. I'll be the reluctant leader and venerable master then." Their banter was interrupted when the bracelet on Lu Jingming's wrist glowed green. He frowned. It was Herta's long-distance communication spirit tool, accurate anywhere within the range of Douluo star, expensive to make, and therefore rare. Only a few trusted people had one. The simulated universe could also serve for long-distance communication, but it was inconvenient unless both parties agreed on a login time and had a secure place to enter. This bracelet allowed contact anytime, anywhere. Lu Jingming tapped it. A holographic screen unfolded, revealing the clear face of a white-haired young woman. "Yingying," he said. "What do you need?" Ji Yingying saw Mobius standing beside him, glanced with mild curiosity, and stayed composed. Ningguang was far away in Shrek City and rarely contacted him. Seeing Ji Yingying was unsurprising. "A Ming," she said, steady as always. "The Wu Chang division received a mission. I'm not sure if we should accept it." "You, indecisive?" Lu Jingming's interest sharpened. The Wu Chang division worked in the shadows for Haiwan City, eliminating threats and handling jobs unsuited for public action. They even took assassination contracts. They normally assessed targets and risks themselves. Ji Yingying rarely consulted him on such matters. Her hesitation meant this target was unusual. "The target is Huo Yuhao, an outer court disciple of Shrek Academy," Ji Yingying said flatly. "The client is from the White Tiger Duke's mansion. The commission is 200,000 gold coins." Lu Jingming's face registered surprise and calculation. Huo Yuhao, he'd heard Lu Jingming call him the continent's child of luck, was under the surveillance of a god king in the god realm. A commission of 200,000 gold coins for a two-ring spirit grandmaster was extraordinary. The client must be desperate. Dai Huabin, Lu Jingming mused silently. If the White Tiger Duke's mansion had hired the Wu Chang division, the most likely sponsor was Dai Huabin. He'd suffered at Huo Yuhao's hands and apparently wanted revenge badly enough to pay a fortune. For the House of the White Tiger, 200,000 gold coins might be pocket change, but for Dai Huabin, a young master with limited independent funds, it was a hefty sum. Especially since hiring assassins was illicit, he wouldn't risk using official family coffers. He'd have to pay from his private hoard, perhaps even with help from his fiancée, Zhu Lu. Lu Jingming's curiosity about the Wu Chang division's decision deepened as the transmission ended. The undercurrent in Haiwan City was shifting, and the ripples would reach further than most realized. Chapter 105, Assassination Outside Shrek City. Should we accept it? Ji Yingying didn't care who the target was. She was just wary of anything that might interfere with Lu Jingming's plan. That caution made her ask his opinion. Why not? Accept it. Lu Jingming's lips curved into a mild smile. If his memory of the original timeline was right, Dai Huabin had once hired assassins to kill Huo Yuhao, but Ma Xiaotao had saved him. Now Ma Xiaotao's malevolent flame had already been sealed by Jingliu, so she wouldn't be involved. Lu Jingming wanted to see whether Huo Yuhao, the child of luck, could still turn danger into safety without Ma Xiaotao's intervention. It was a test. Could luck really carry him through trouble? And since Dai Huabin was behind the contract, whether the assassination succeeded or failed wouldn't harm Sea Abyss City in any major way. "Yingying, don't send too strong a force," Lu Jingming said. "Let them be able to pull back if it goes wrong." He wasn't interested in a prolonged fight with Huo Yuhao, only in testing him. Besides, by now, Huo Yuhao had already attracted the attention of Shrek Academy's high-level spirit tool department. He'd become a core disciple of that department, and because he had tricked the Ice Empress with the Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm to obtain his second spirit, the Extreme Ice Jade Empress Scorpion, the Sea God Pavilion had even held a meeting and listed him as a core disciple of the Sea God Pavilion. He'd become the first dual core disciple in Shrek Academy's history. How would such a rising star deal with assassins from the Wuchang division? Lu Jingming was curious. I understand, Ji Yingying said, nodding, then closed the link. Child of luck, huh? I'm curious too, maybe Wuxi said suddenly, watching Ji Yingying's image vanish. My route goes past there. Mind if I join the fun? Do as you like. Just don't make things dramatic, Lu Jingming replied coolly. Maybe Wuxi was willful. If he objected, she'd probably go anyway. Better to let her tag along and earn some goodwill. Besides, as long as she didn't provoke the sea god Tangsan's contingency in the Golden Tree, she'd be safe. As the so-called infinite snake, she was effectively unkillable. Shrek City sat in the center of Douluo Continent. Its permanent population hit 5 million. Its prosperity was second only to the imperial capitals, and it was one of the continent's glittering economic hubs. Nightfall didn't quiet it much. The city thrummed as it did in daylight. At the city gate, crowds surged like a tide, noises and voices mingling into a constant roar. The treasure-gathering pavilion, Shrek Academy's treasure exchange hall, was a magnet for spirit masters seeking rare spirit treasures. Tonight, two young men walked out side by side, beaming. They had clearly gained much. I can't believe we actually traded for it. Huo Yuhao, black-haired and awed, was still caught up in the excitement. As a core disciple of Shrek Academy's outer court, he had just helped Wang Dong exchange at the pavilion for a golden radiance left arm bone worth 9,500,000 gold coins. Your second spirit is extreme attribute. The Academy naturally wants to bind you closer to it. For them, this little cost is nothing, Wang Dong said matter-of-factly. His short blue-pink hair and neat, somewhat feminine face made him look thoughtful about such politics. He'd understood the Academy's motives. Huo Yuhao nodded. He remembered resenting the Academy's earlier slights. After winning the freshman competition, his teammates Wang Dong and Xiao Xiao had become core disciples, but he, the captain, had been excluded. Later, though, the Spirit Tool Department had accepted him as a core disciple, and he'd grown to set the old grievances aside, helped by Elder Yi's guidance. Now, the Academy valued him. He had teachers and classmates who cared, a roommate like Wang Dong, and the support of teacher Xiaoya and senior brother Beibei. The warmth of belonging made the coldness of his past fade. Let's go back to the Academy. Tonight you absorb the whale glue. I'll refine the spirit bone. Next time we meet Dai Huabin, I'll beat him till he can't stand. Wang Dong pumped his fist, brimming with confidence. Huo Yuhao smiled. Their little trio was getting stronger and closer. The hatred he held for Dai Huabin still simmered, but it had been tempered, especially after forcing Dai Huabin to kowtow and admit his mistake in public. That had let some of his anger out. Yuhao, killing intent. Watch out! The Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm cried suddenly in Huo Yuhao's spirit sea. He and Wang Dong had only just left Shrek City. The Academy lay beyond, and they had to leave the city itself to return. That gap gave ambushers an opportunity. Killing someone outside the city was far easier than doing so inside. Huo Yuhao kept a steady face, but he quietly activated spirit detection sharing. He sent a divine thought to Wang Dong while trying to locate the source. Wang Dong started, then understood and cooperated. He feigned casualness while activating his spirit power, ready to flee. Fighting was out of the question. Whoever dared to ambush them outside Shrek City was likely far stronger than a 3-ring spirit elder and a 2-ring spirit grandmaster could handle. The wisest choice was to retreat into the city and call for help. Detected! Attack! A chilling voice cried out, and a strange gray mist spread fast, surging toward them like a tidal wave. Not good. A spiritual system spirit master. Your spirit detection has been discovered, the Heavenly Dream Ice Silkworm warned. It hadn't expected a rare spirit master of the spiritual system among the ambushers, and it hadn't expected that they would detect Huo Yuhao's spirit detection so quickly. Run! Huo Yuhao roared without hesitation, grabbed Wang Dong, and turned to flee. A delicate spirit tool unfolded behind him, spraying dazzling white flames. The thrust it generated propelled the two of them like a white meteor streaking across the night sky towards Shrek City. Too late to run. From the shadows, a black-clad figure shot out like a demon. He wore a mask with the number 14 carved on it. His hands transformed into ink-black spider blades, and he slashed savagely at Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong with palpable killing intent. The 6 spirit rings around him, 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 2 black, made both youths gasp. A spirit emperor. With such an ideal ring configuration, his strength was on par with the outer court teachers of Shrek Academy, overwhelming for 2 inexperienced juniors. Wang Dong reacted instantly. Blue-gold butterfly wings unfolded behind him, and he shoved Huo Yuhao aside with a backhand, narrowly avoiding the fatal blow. Huo Yuhao reacted just as fast. He widened the distance, produced a bright red light in his palm, and launched it skyward. The light soared like an arrow and exploded into fireworks high above. The brilliant signal was visible across Shrek City. "Quick! Kill!" came a cold, crisp command. A woman in snow-white robes stood in the dark, a white mask covering her face. Above the mask, the number 13 was prominently carved, an aura of brutal intent radiating from it. At the sight of the red signal, a cold glint flashed in her eyes. She ordered the attack without hesitation. The voice was the same one that had detected Huo Yuhao's mental force earlier. From the 6 perfectly arranged spirit rings on her body, it was clear her strength was extraordinary, and she was also a mental force spirit master. Mental force users were already rare in the world of spirit masters. A mental force spirit emperor of this caliber was almost unheard of. Judging by how she issued commands, she was the operation's true leader, not Black 14. As White 13's order fell, 4 Guimei-like figures slipped from the dark and surged forward with clean, precise movements. They attacked Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong without a sound. 2 wore white masks and 2 black. Their masks bore the numbers White 17, White 18, Black 16, and Black 17. Unlike White 13 and Black 14, they had only 5 spirit rings, Spirit King level, not Spirit Emperor. This lineup was excessive for 2 young spirit masters. It was overkill. Still, it matched the exorbitant 200,000 gold payment for the hit. In the world of spirit masters, spirit kings and spirit emperors almost never took such direct action against spirit elders or spirit grandmasters, unless money spoke. "Yuhao, let me in." Empress Bing's voice suddenly echoed in Huo Yuhao's sea of consciousness. She had awakened and sensed the danger, and she wanted to take over his body to turn the tide personally. "No, Bing Bing, Yuhao can't handle your power." Heavenly Dream Iceworm's urgent protest rang out. Empress Bing's power was immense. If she forced control now, Huo Yuhao's body might be ripped apart by the strain before the assassins even struck. Then what? Just watch him die? Empress Bing snapped, furious. She had staked everything on Huo Hao. She would not let it end in nothing. "He's close to Shrek City," Heavenly Dream Iceworm reasoned quickly, trying to calm her. "If he and they can hold on a little longer, help will arrive. If it comes to a last resort, then you act." "All right." Empress Bing gritted her teeth and put aside her fury. She focused, ready to assume control the moment it became necessary, even if it risked damaging Huo Yuhao's body. It was better than losing his life. Above Huo Yuhao's sea of consciousness, within the gray light sphere, a figure opened its eyes. The 4 assassins lunged like wolves, their target only Huo Yuhao. Wang Dong was not their target, so they ignored him and unleashed everything at Huo Hao. Huo Yuhao remained outwardly calm. He activated mental force detection and locked onto every movement. A small fixed-form spirit tool appeared in his hand. Several dark crossbow bolts, almost imperceptible in the ink-black night, streaked toward the pursuers like falling meteors. At the same time, Wang Dong's butterfly wings beat furiously, drawing him closer to Huo Hao as he poured spirit power into him. They shared an unspoken understanding. Huo Hao felt the support. Purple gold light swirled in his eyes like twin suns. He fixed his gaze on Black 14 and unleashed a mental force strike with everything he had. Black 14 staggered as if struck by thunder. Something like millions of lightning bolts had exploded in his sea of consciousness. He let out a muffled groan and was flung backward like a kite on a snapped string. "Wang Dong, ascend!" Huo Yuhao shouted. None of their attackers could fly. Ascending was their only hope. Under the concealment of his clothes, Huo Yuhao's two spirit rings silently merged, revealing a huge, eerie emerald green tattoo across his torso, where his clothes parted. Wang Dong, already sensing the deadly intent, suppressed his dread and pulled Huo Hao upward. 1,000 mist blades. White 13 sneered. The gray mist behind her congealed into an illusory form. Her spirit, the phantom mist specter, a rare mental force variant. The fourth ring flared. The mist became thousands upon thousands of razor blades, a death storm blotting out the sky as it swept toward the fleeing pair. "Yu Hao!" Wang Dong cried, ascending as fast as he could. The mist blades cut at the air and at his nerves. The killing intent made his skin crawl. Empress's Wrath. At the critical moment, Wang Dong felt his spirit power being pulled frantically into Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao's body burst into light, dazzling against the dark sky. Emerald green radiance shaped into the outline of a torso bone on his chest, and an emerald pillar of light shot out like a divine sword. Extreme cold chi spread like a tide. Where it reached, air froze and time seemed to slow. The 1,000 mist blades faltered, frozen. Even the mist that carried White 13's mental force was not spared. "What?" White 13 cried as her mental force was injured. A trickle of blood escaped her mouth. She had once encountered Lord Jinglu's cold chi. Huo Yuhao's cold was far weaker, but it was nonetheless enough to shock her. She had grown used to spreading her mental force freely, confident no ordinary elemental spirit power could harm it. This mistake cost her dearly. After using Empress's Wrath, Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong both turned pale. Their spirit power had been nearly exhausted. Wang Dong could only barely keep them afloat. His body felt drained. Though they'd temporarily repelled Black 14 and White 13, 4 Spirit King-level assassins still lurked like tigers. The situation looked desperate. Then 3 figures arrived almost at once. Thunder rolled as a massive lightning dragon soared overhead. A Xuanwu phantom formed, and a huge shield steadied itself in front of Huo Hao and Wang Dong. Another figure, at first caught off guard by the attacker's gear, recovered in a flash. She blurred into an afterimage, bounded between trees and buildings with bird-like agility, then kicked fiercely in midair from high heels, sending a graceful arc as she engaged the enemies. A few minutes earlier, when the red distress flare had gone up, Bei Bei and Shu Sanshi at the treasure-gathering pavilion had both gone pale. That signal belonged to an outer court core disciple. Given the timing and the fact the signal came from outside Shrek City, both immediately thought of Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong, who had just left. "Oh no, Yuhao and Wang Dong!" they cried in unison and dashed out of the pavilion like 2 arrows from a bow, hearts pounding. On the top floor of a luxurious 7-story pavilion, Ningguang watched the flare without surprise. "This is an outer court core disciple's distress signal? Here in Shrek City?" Behind her stood a girl who looked 14 or 15, long golden hair, fair skin, a flawless face so beautiful she looked like a painting. It was Jiang Nanan. "Could it be Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong?" she asked, frowning. She had seen them leave not long ago, and now the distress signal outside the city made her fear the worst. "You know them?" Ningguang asked softly. "They're 2 junior disciples I know," Jiang Nanan replied. "One of them sells grilled fish at the academy, the same grilled fish I brought you last time, Sister Ningguang." She hesitated, then looked at Ningguang as if unsure how much to say. Ningguang smiled faintly and interrupted. "Go if you want. I told you before, you're free. I helped your mother because I saw talent and potential in you. That was an investment, not a chain. Thank you, Sister Ningguang." Jiang Nanan's eyes filled with gratitude. She leaped from the 7-story pavilion and, using the roofs and ledges below, darted across the city like a nimble rabbit, bounding at top speed toward the direction outside the gates. Chapter 107. The Tragic Huo Yuhao, Senior Brother, Senior Sanshi, Senior Nan Nan. Huo Yuhao had already decided to go all out. Even if the Ice Empress seized control of his body and left him broken, he would fight to the end. But at that critical moment, he caught a familiar aura and looked up to see 3 familiar figures rushing to their aid. As soon as he recognized them, joy flamed in his dimmed eyes. Wang Dong, who had been tightly wound with nerves, finally relaxed. He could no longer support his exhausted body and fell out of the air alongside Huo Yuhao. They dropped like kites with cut strings, swaying dangerously in the wind. Xuanwu displacement. Xu Sanxi reacted instantly, summoning his Xuanwu shield. The massive shield shimmered with an ancient glow. Behind him, a Xuanwu phantom manifested, its tortoise head and snake head raised, and it spat two profound black beams that wrapped around Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong. In a ripple of distorted space, the two vanished from midair and reappeared steadily in front of Xu Sanxi the next second. "Are you two all right? What happened?" Xu Sanxi held his Xuanwu shield ready, his gaze fixed warily on He Shixi and Bai Shisan. Of everyone present, the auras from those two pressed on him the most. "We don't know either," Wang Dong said, frustration plain on his face. "We were just leaving the city when Yu Hao sensed an ambush, targeting us." A shadow crossed Huo Yuhao's eyes, and hatred surged like a tide. He knew he had no enemies outside Shrek City. He had never provoked anyone in the wider world. But inside the academy, there were a few who resented him. Dai Huabin and Wu Feng had long disliked him, and it was plausible they'd hired assassins. Yet Wu Feng was under Ning Tian's watchful eye, and Ning Tian would never allow something like this. That left Dai Huabin as the likeliest suspect. Only he had the funds to hire spirit emperors and spirit kings to carry out such a hit. More telling was Huo Yuhao's mental force perception. The killer's intent had been focused entirely on him. The malice directed at Wang Dong had been far less intense. "You dare attack a Shrek Academy disciple outside Shrek City? You've got nerve," Bei Bei said, his aura surging. Two yellow and two purple spirit rings lit up in order, casting a dazzling glow. Blue lightning coiled around him like nimble snakes. Facing Spirit King-level opponents like He Shixi, he showed no fear. "The Academy's heavy hitters will be here soon. You won't get away if you don't retreat," Jiang Nan warned, her voice clear as a mountain spring. She spoke to pressure them, to warn that reinforcements would arrive if the assassins didn't withdraw. "It's no problem to leave after we kill him," Bai Shisan said coldly. She wiped blood from the corner of her mouth, and her sixth spirit ring flared to life. Sixth spirit ability, Mist Realm, Yellow Springs Guidance. A thick, oppressive mist exploded outward from Bai Shisan, centered on her, spreading like a tidal wave across hundreds of meters in an instant. Inside the mist, Jiang Nan and the others felt their senses dull, sight blurred, hearing muffled. The fog seemed to turn into countless invisible blades howling from all directions, attacking them on every side. For a moment, Jiang Nan and Bei Bei were at a severe disadvantage. A Spirit Emperor's sixth ability could overwhelm even elite Shrek disciples. Despite being stronger than most peers, they were still only four-ring spirit ancestors. Against absolute rank suppression, their strength felt insignificant. Xuanwu power! Xu Sanxi stepped forward to protect Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong. The Xuanwu phantom roared, gathering water elements into a massive vortex that sucked in and bound He Shixi and the other assassins. The vortex also rapidly absorbed the mist, exposing their figures. "Die!" As everyone fought with everything they had, He Shixi erupted from Wang Dong's shadow like black lightning. 8 inky spider legs sprouted from his back, glinting coldly in the moonlight. His fifth spirit ring flared, and the spider blade in his hand elongated to 3 meters, its edge radiating a terrifying, killing aura. He Shixi's spirit was the shadow-eating devil spider. His first ability let him move through shadows like a fish in water. His fifth, devil spider frenzy, greatly enhanced his attributes and the power of his blade. He and Bai Shisan had worked on many missions together and moved with perfect coordination. The instant Bai Shisan unleashed her sixth ability, he seized the chance to strike a killing blow. While Bai Shisan's mist trapped Jiang Nan and Bei Bei, and Xu Sanxi was fully engaged holding down the others, He Shixi shot toward Wang Dong and Huo Yuhao like a fatal shadow. The black spider blade sliced through the air with a sharp whistle and a strange ripple. That cold edge aimed straight for Wang Dong and froze him in place. In the split second of life or death peril, a blue-gold divine light flashed in Wang Dong's eyes, as if some sleeping power was about to awaken. Wang Dong. Huo Yuhao sensed the danger at the same moment, but the mist had severely suppressed his mental perception. By the time he saw He Shixi's sneak attack, it was already too late. Without time to think, he reached out and shoved Wang Dong with everything he had, using that momentum to try to roll away. Heishi's blade, however, was lightning fast. The slash whistled through the air, a black arc heavy with death. It intended for Wang Dong, but missed by a breath, striking Huo Yuhao instead. Ah! A piercing scream shredded the night like a blade, jerking every head. Yuhao! Wang Dong's eyes went bloodshot with grief and fury as he looked at Huo Yuhao collapsed on the ground. The mist thinned and the cold moonlight fell over them. Everyone saw the terrible wound at Huo Yuhao's groin, blood gushing like a spring and pooling on the earth in a horrifying crimson puddle. Heishishi stared down at his blade where fresh red blood gleamed in the moonlight. His strike had been intended to maim Wang Dong severely at most. No one could have predicted that Huo Yuhao would shove Wang Dong away and take the full force of the slash himself, his lower body impaled by the blade. For a long heartbeat, no one could find words. Silence pressed down like a hand. Only Huo Yuhao's agonized screams continued, echoing through the night. "Junior brother, those bastards!" Bei Bei was the first to break out of shock. Rage erupted from him like volcanic fire. Golden light flared around him, and the blue lightning that had wrapped him burst into brilliant gold, an aura of sacred majesty forming. A golden lightning dragon, scales crackling, roared as it lunged toward Heishishi. The dragon bared fangs and claws. Every scale shimmered with thunderous power. A small, disdainful twitch crossed Heishishi's mouth. Shrek disciples never played fair. Here even a spirit ancestor could unleash something so explosive. But Heishishi was no ordinary foe. He met the golden lightning dragon head-on, crossing his two spider blades into a brutal sweeping slash. A pitch-black, cross-shaped light tore through the night toward the dragon with a shriek. Boom! The impact ripped the sky. Golden lightning detonated across the void, unleashing a violent shockwave like a tidal surge that shattered the ground. The force cracked the earth itself, as if the world could barely withstand such an overwhelming blast. Chapter 108, Xuanzi injured again. Who dares cause trouble at my Shrek? Just as the skirmish reached its peak, a deep, majestic voice thundered from afar, reverberating through the night. A streak of yellow light tore toward them like a meteor, so dazzling that it was almost blinding. Before the figure even arrived, the oppressive force of a titled duo, grand and immovable as a mountain, weighed down on White 13 and the others. Retreat! White 13 and Black 14 went pale with fright. They knew too well the terror a titled duo represented and did not dare linger. One dissolved into mist and vanished into the night like smoke. The others slipped into the shadows and fled. Black 17 and the rest, no longer entangled with Shu Sanxi and Zhang Nanan, unleashed their strongest spirit abilities to cover the escape and fled at top speed. Lights flashed, and the roar of spirit abilities filled the air. Humph. Trying to run in front of this old man? The voice snorted, cold and hard. A giant, earthen yellow hand slowly took shape in the void realm. It blotted out the sky, radiating a crushing might. The hand reached for the fleeing figures, and a terrifying suction force materialized. White 13 and the others lost control as if grabbed by an invisible giant and were yanked back. Against the absolute power of a titled duo, they were like ants, utterly helpless. The sheer might of the titled duo was displayed in full, making everyone tremble. Just then, a clear, bell-like chuckle rang out from the void realm. An invisible, intangible giant snake slipped into being, its maw opening like some vast beast ready to devour everything. In an instant, it swallowed White 13 and the others whole. Its tail lashed violently, unleashing a fierce wave of chi. Boom! The void realm erupted again. The snake's tail, like a colossal meteor hammer, struck the rapidly approaching yellow light and slammed it away. The ground shook, as if from an earthquake. The yellow light was hurled into the earth, leaving a huge, deep pit. The invisible giant snake, after delivering the blow, quickly burrowed back into the void realm and vanished as if it had never appeared. Everything happened in a blur. The exchange lasted only moments, but it changed the situation completely and settled it. Elder Xuan. The yellow light dispersed, and a disheveled figure climbed slowly out of the pit. Blood stained the corner of his mouth. He looked badly beaten. Bei Bei and the others were alarmed. This was Elder Xuanzi of Shrek Academy's Sea God Pavilion, the famed gluttonous Douluo Xuanzi. Yet his battered appearance stunned them. In their minds, Elder Xuan was a peak powerhouse on the Douluo Continent. How could he be so vulnerable? That a single exchange left him in such a state shook their worldviews. You bastards ambushed me when I wasn't looking, Xuanzi spat, frustration and anger burning in his eyes. With Elder Mu's help, he had healed the injuries Jing Liu inflicted, used the Golden Tree's life energy to suppress the remaining sword intent in his body, and was finally on the mend. Tonight, he had come to Shrek City to find some good food, when he had noticed a distress signal from an outer court core disciple. He'd planned to rush to the rescue, but seeing Bebe and the others already there had eased him. He thought they could hold a few minutes. He knew Bebe and Shu Sanxi's strengths well. Bebe had inherited the light sacred dragon's power from Elder Mu, with limitless potential. Shu Sanxi had awakened the divine beast Black Tortoise spirit, and, as young sect master of the profound underworld sect, was not to be underestimated. Jiang Nanan, while slightly weaker, had been invested in by Kunyu Pavilion and trained with many precious resources. All three were marked by the Academy as top candidates for inner court disciples. They might not be invincible, but they could stall. So Xuanzi had been late but confident, until the mysterious opponent struck. Not only was he injured again, but the suppressed sword intent had burst out, compounding his wounds and sending him reeling. Elder Xuan, what happened? Several streaks of light arrived like lightning and landed nearby. Yan Xiaojie, Dean of the Spirit Department, Xian Liner, Dean of the Soul Tool Department, and Vice Dean Qian Duoduo appeared in an instant. They stared at Xuanzi, who was badly hurt, and could not help but gape. Elder Xuan was a level 98 Super Douluo, who in the Spirit Master world could so easily wound him. The battle's fluctuations had been brief. Only a single exchange was enough to leave him gravely injured. How fearsome was that opponent's power? Xiaozhe, you came just in time. The rest is up to you. I need to go heal. Xuanzi's face was gray, his aura chaotic. Before anyone could ask for more, his figure flickered and vanished. The onlookers were left dumbfounded. Qian Duoduo was the first to turn his attention to the collapsed Huo Yuhao. The pool of blood beneath him made his face go white. Huo Yuhao was Fan Yu's cherished disciple and the core of the Soul Tool Department's ultimate individual soldier plan. If anything happened to him, the department's future would be in jeopardy. Bebe, Shu Sanxi, Jiang Nanan, what happened? Yan Xiaojie demanded, eyes narrowing into a severe glare. Bebe looked down at the still unconscious Huo Yuhao, worry tearing at his face. Qian Duoduo knelt and used his spirit ability to staunch the bleeding while Wang Dong rushed over in tears. Once the immediate crisis was handled, Bebe explained what had happened. People from the Wu Chang division? They wouldn't attack Huo Yuhao without reason. Someone must have hired them. Yan's face went even darker at the news. He knew the Wu Chang division well, an underground force that had been rising in recent years, rumored to be backed by a super duo. Ruthless, treacherous, and formidable, they were not the sort to attack a mere young disciple on a whim. If Huo Yuhao had drawn their ire, someone had paid a heavy price to hire them. Take Huo Yuhao back for treatment immediately. I'll investigate this fully. Yan Xiaojie ground out through clenched teeth. Someone had hired assassins from the Wu Chang division to target a core disciple of Shrek Academy, an open provocation and a slap in Shrek's face. Worse, the attack had occurred just outside Shrek City, right under the Academy's nose. How had they failed to protect him? Yan rubbed his temples and the image of Xuanzi's hurried departure returned to his mind. He could almost guess what had delayed the elder. Xuanzi had a reputation for arriving late thanks to food and wine. The last inner court tragedy, which had cost many disciples' lives, had been partly blamed on Xuanzi's mistakes. In that incident, the Sea God Pavilion elders had been furious, but Xuanzi's own grievous injury had complicated punishments. Nobody besides Elder Mu was truly qualified to discipline him. Yan believed Xuanzi had made mistakes, but sometimes things were unavoidable. Bad luck or an overly powerful spirit beast could be fatal. Return to the academy as soon as possible. Don't linger outside, Yan instructed Bebe and the others. Then he, Xian Liner, and Qian Duoduo lifted Huo Yuhao and carried him away with Wang Dong, bound for the academy's medical staff. Bebe watched them go, his expression grave. He had examined Huo Yuhao's wounds carefully. His lower body had been shredded, The sight was gruesome. Black 14's fatal strike had hit a vital area. The injury was beyond severe. Short of the legendary immortal herb that could restore the dead and regrow flesh and bone, even a titled Douluo-level healer would struggle to repair this damage. Saving his life might still be possible, but Huo Yuhao's future happiness and mobility were uncertain. Beibei clenched his fists, worry etched on his face. Jiang Nanan, Sanshi, I'm worried about Junior Brother. I want to go with them and see, he said after a moment's hesitation. I'll go with you, Beibei, Shu Sanchi said, slapping Beibei's shoulder in a show of solidarity. He liked Huo Yuhao and, given his ties to Beibei and Tangya, wanted to help if he could. Jiang Nanan smiled faintly at them. You two go. I have other matters and need to return to Shrek City. She had rushed to save Huo Yuhao and Wang Dong, partly out of solidarity with fellow Shrek disciples, and partly because she liked Huo Yuao's cooking and his independent streak. But she had other obligations and politely declined to follow. Beibei and Shu Sanchi watched the group carrying Huo Yuhao retreat and then followed, hearts heavy. The night had left them with one certainty. Someone powerful and ruthless had made a move right at Shrek Academy's doorstep, and the consequences had already begun to unfold. Chapter 109, Jiang Nanan, Who Sold Herself. All right, thank you. Jiang Nanan's reply was quiet. Beibei nodded, and with Shu Sanchi at his side, they hurried off after Yan Xiaojia and the others. Though Jiang Nanan was beautiful, both Beibei and Shu Sanchi already had girlfriends and weren't paying her any special attention. Beibei's heart belonged to Tangya, and Shu Sanchi wasn't the sort to be fickle after the intimate bond his girlfriend had given him to awaken his black tortoise spirit. Watching them go, Jiang Nanan turned and headed back toward Shrek City. On the roof of Kunyu Pavilion, a soft breeze stirred gauze curtains, while Ningguang sat poised at a small table, lifting a teacup to her lips with practiced grace. She looked up as Jiang Nanan returned and, calm as ever, asked, "You're back. Were they people you knew?" Jiang Nanan walked over and nodded, her hair swaying with the movement. "Yes, they were two of my younger disciples." A flicker of hesitation crossed her face. Ningguang, quick to notice, smiled faintly. "If there's anything you want to ask, just ask." Jiang Nanan drew a steadying breath and asked, puzzled, "Sister Ningguang, what's our relationship with the Wuchang division? The people who attacked my disciples, I've seen their uniforms at Kunyu Pavilion before. Dean Yan said they were from Wuchang." Ningguang's hand paused, the teacup frozen midair. An amused look creased her eyes. "So the ones who attacked your disciples were from the Wuchang division?" Ningguang trusted Jiang Nanan deeply. Among the many people she supported in Shrek City, Jiang Nanan stood out not only for her beauty and talent, but for her loyalty and righteousness. Ningguang had once saved Jiang Nanan's mother. Since then, Jiang Nanan had regarded her as the elder sister she followed without question. She had been carefully cultivated as a confidante and potential right hand. There was little Ningguang needed to hide from her. "You're right," Ningguang said, setting down her cup and folding her hands in her lap. "The Wuchang Division and Kunyu Pavilion are on cooperative terms. Don't worry, those men probably took on a paid job. It doesn't seem like anyone is targeting your disciples directly." Her voice was gentle but reassuring. Jiang Nanan nodded, relief washing over her. No matter what, she would stand by Ningguang, but she was also a Shrek Academy student in her own right. Knowing Ningguang hadn't been involved spared her an awkward position. Ningguang shifted to a more comfortable posture and, as if remembering, added, "By the way, the All-Continent Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Duel Tournament is coming up. Shrek Academy will be picking reserve candidates soon. Confident?" Jiang Nanan's eyes lit up. She straightened, proud. "Don't worry, Sister Ningguang. Among the outer court, aside from Beibei and Shu Sanchi, few can threaten me. With the spirit tools you gave me, I'll definitely pass selection." In Shrek Academy's outer court, Jiang Nanan was famed not only for her beauty, but as a top-tier combatant. Paired with Ningguang's spirit tools, her confidence was natural. Ningguang chuckled and teased, "I've heard you're the outer court's most beautiful woman. I wonder which man will be lucky enough to win you." Jiang Nanan's cheeks warmed. She slipped an arm through Ningguang's and teased back, "Sister Ningguang, those are just empty titles. How could I compare to you? I've already decided to follow you for life." When you marry someday, I'll be your dowry maid." To her, Ningguang seemed nearly perfect, devastatingly beautiful, supremely strong, and the head of Kunyu Pavilion, a vast enterprise stretching across the original Duoluo Three Kingdoms. It was hard to imagine any man worthy of her. If one ever did come along, she even wouldn't mind truly becoming a dowry maid. "If you say that, someone should be very happy," Ningguang murmured with a secretive smile, seemingly pleased by the thought. Jiang Nanan felt her heart skip, suddenly flustered. Had she really just sold herself like that? Far from Shrek City, in the Void Realm, space tore open as if clawed by an invisible hand. A translucent, serpent-like phantom rushed out, gaping, and spat several figures across the void. With a flicker of space, the phantom twisted and dove back into the Void Realm as if it had never been there. "Thank you, Lady Mobius, for saving our lives." White 13, Black 14, and the others bowed long and deep toward the place she had departed. Mobius, and by extension their Lord Yama, was their salvation. They would not forget that debt. They had dared to attack Shrek Academy disciples outside the city, even after Huo Yuhao sent a distress signal, and Bei Bei and the others hurried to help because they knew what power stood behind them. That belief had been confirmed. The gluttonous Douluo had been gravely wounded by a single strike from Lady Mobius. Against absolute power, Shrek Academy had been helpless. Thinking of their Lord Yama and what Mobius had just done heightened their fanaticism, almost to fever pitch. Though they had failed to kill Huo Yuhao, their mission was accomplished. Higher-ups had only demanded that they give their all. Whether he lived or died, they had fulfilled their orders. Night in Haiyuan City flowed like water with moonlight soaking the streets. In a quiet courtyard, Lu Jingming watched a silver-haired girl surrounded by fireflies, her presence dreamlike and delicate. He'd just finished reading a message from Ji Yingying. As understanding settled, a knowing smile curved his lips and the doubts in his heart eased. Luck could bring opportunities, Lu Jingming thought, but it wasn't omnipotent. Someone with strong luck might easily turn fate in their favor, but if a stronger force interfered, that luck could be neutralized. Huo Yuhao's luck had given him rapid chances and steady growth, but it hadn't been enough to fend off a powerhouse like Sea-God Tangsan. Lu Jingming's meddling had forced Huo Yuhao into hardship he wouldn't have faced otherwise. Thinking of Su Tianran, who'd lost something crucial to a man and had changed because of it, Lu Jingming's smile took on a teasing edge. He wondered if Huo Yuhao might undergo his own change. If Shrek Academy mishandled the situation, how would Huo Yuhao react? He looked forward to seeing. "Aming, let's get some late-night snacks." Lu Ying, bright as ever, danced to his side and grabbed his hand, her iridescent eyes sparkling. "Okay." Lu Jingming ruffled her nose fondly and let her pull him toward the bustling, lantern-lit streets of Haiyuan City. Back at Shrek Academy, the atmosphere pressed on like humidity. Voices threaded with worry gathered outside a closed room. "What happened? What's the situation?" A small girl with emerald green pigtails fretted, eyes fixed on the door. Tanya craned her neck nearby, anxious to be let in and see Huo Yuhao for herself. After a while, the door opened and Elder Zhuang walked out. He was the plain-robed elder from the Sea God Pavilion that Shrek Academy had invited to treat Huo Yuhao. His spirit, the Tree of Life, made him a peerless healing titled Douluo. "Elder Zhuang, how is he?" Yan Shaozhe stepped forward. Elder Zhuang scanned the assembled faces, then slowly shook his head and sighed. "His life is not in danger, but—" His sigh landed like a weight in everyone's chest. They all knew where Huo Yuhao had been harmed. That it wasn't life-threatening was a blessing, but damage to that most vital area was a devastating blow for any man. Who would be so ruthless as to harm Yuhao? A stern-faced woman wearing glasses demanded, anger and worry behind the lenses. Yan Shaozhe's expression darkened. The attackers were white impermanents and black impermanents from the Wu Chang division. But they were hired assassins. We're still investigating who ordered it. Shrek Academy's inquiries had already led to leads that wove toward the White Tiger Duke's mansion. Yan Shaozhe suspected who might have the motive. Who else would hire the Wu Chang division but someone like Dai Huabin? But the situation was complicated. First, there wasn't enough hard evidence. The person who contacted the Wu Chang division was merely a servant of the White Tiger Duke's mansion. That alone wasn't enough to convict. Second, the White Tiger Duke's mansion held deep influence in the Star Luo Empire. Escalating this into a feud between the Academy and the Empire over a conflict of youth would have serious consequences. On top of that, Dai Huabin himself was a disciple of Shrek Academy. The White Tiger lineage traced back to Dai Mubai, one of the original Shrek Seven Devils and a legendary war god. The lineage and the Academy had long maintained a delicate relationship. Both of the White Tiger Duke's sons were in the Academy. If the other son had been even slightly more gifted, he might have entered the Academy years ago. Given all that, Yan Xiaojie knew it would be almost impossible for the Academy to punish Dai Huabin harshly. He and the Sea God Pavilion's elders would not approve cutting Huo Yuhao off from the White Tiger lineage over this. Huo Yuhao had exceptional talent, and the Academy valued him, but he was still a young genius whose full worth hadn't yet been realized. In the Academy's higher calculations, that wasn't worth risking a long-standing, powerful alliance. The current best course, Yan Xiaojie concluded, was to minimize fallout and handle the matter quietly. Fortunately, Elder Zhuang had said Huo Yuhao still had hope. As long as he lived, there was a chance to recover. Chapter 110, The Unlucky Snow Empress. If the mastermind behind this incident had no ties to Shrek Academy, the Academy would have pursued the matter relentlessly, exposing the culprit and seeking justice for Huo Yuhao. But because it involved the tangled relationships tied to the White Tiger Duke's mansion, even Muen, the pavilion master of the Sea God Pavilion, would not act rashly. All the Academy could do was throw every resource into healing Huo Yuhao and repairing his body. As for future disputes between Huo Yuhao and Dai Huabin, the Academy would have to let go and refrain from interfering too much. This matter must be kept strictly confidential. No one is to reveal Huo Yuhao's injury, Yan Xiaojie said at last, his gaze cold and expression grave as he looked at everyone present. His tone allowed no argument. That was also Muen's intention, protect Huo Yuhao. If news leaked, Huo Yuhao would be subjected to strange looks and gossip in the outside world, and in his current condition, he could not endure that pressure. Xiao Xiao, Tang Ya, Bei Bei, and the others nodded repeatedly. They all cared deeply for Huo Yuhao and would not spread word of his injury. Yuhao, are you all right? Wang Dong hurried into the room, anxious, and immediately saw Huo Yuhao lying on the bed. Huo Yuhao's eyes stared blankly at the ceiling, hollow and dull, as if his soul had been sucked out. At Wang Dong's voice, he forced the corners of his mouth into a smile that looked more like a grimace and hoarsely said, I'm fine. Wang Dong's expression grew darker. He knew Huo Yuhao was not fine. Concern and worry welled inside him, but when he tried to speak, the right words wouldn't come. He could only fret. Yuhao, don't lose heart. In the spiritual space, the Tianmeng iceworm paced anxiously like an ant on a hot pan. As long as there's enough life energy, your injuries can be healed. Shrek Academy has such a treasure. At those words, a faint glimmer of light returned to Huo Yuhao's dim eyes. People feared falling into endless despair. As long as there was even a sliver of hope, they would not give up. I've heard of Shrek Academy's golden tree. The clear, icy voice of Bing Di echoed in Huo Yuhao's mind. Unlike the Tianmeng iceworm, who had been trapped for ages, Bing Di had a better understanding of the human world. It was said to have been transplanted from Sea God Island by the legendary sea god. It is the pinnacle of plant life and contains immense life energy. Bing Di had once felt the terrifying aura of the Three Gods War, and the sea god aura emanating from Shrek Academy's golden tree had left a deep impression on her. Huo Yuhao forced himself to sit up straighter. He knew that with his current strength and status, he was not in a position to approach a treasure like the golden tree. He clenched his fists privately. He still needed to work harder and prove his worth to the Academy before he could even hope the Academy would use the golden tree's power to heal him. The far north, one of the 3 major spirit beast gathering places on the Douluo Continent, was vast. Its area even surpassed the Stardew Great Forest. But despite its size, few spirit masters ventured there to hunt. Most far north spirit beasts were ice-attributed, and ice-attributed spirit masters were extremely rare on the Douluo Continent, second only to spirit-type spirit masters in number. The far north's environment was unimaginably harsh, howling winds like blades, biting cold that froze everything instantly, and relentless ice and snowstorms. Ordinary spirit masters found it difficult to go deep, and the mysterious and dangerous far north core area was entered only by powerful titled Douluo. At the peak of a towering snowy mountain in the far north core area, a pristine white snow lotus bloomed quietly, like a fairy in the snow. In the lotus's center, a massive snow-white egg was feverishly drawing in heaven and earth origin chi, forming a huge energy vortex. The elemental forces of the world surged and gathered around it. Strangely, no spirit beast came to investigate the commotion. The reason was simple. The whole mountain was permeated by the majestic aura of the dominator of the far north, the Snow Empress, third among the 10 vicious beasts. Inside that snow-white egg, an embryo was slowly forming. The Snow Empress was using the power of 100,000-year snow lotus to transform. As the dominator of the far north, the Snow Empress had already undergone several heavenly tribulations and become a vicious beast. Logically, she had lost the chance to transform into a human, but favored by luck in the far north, the Iceborn daughter had found the rare 100,000-year snow lotus just as she prepared to face her 7th heavenly tribulation. It was a sliver of hope in desperation, an alternative to the 700,000-year heavenly tribulation she could not be sure of surviving. She resolved to use the snow lotus's power to transform. Originally, she had planned to find Bing Di and help her through her 400,000-year tribulation before taking on her own, thereby strengthening the far north's foundation and offsetting the loss of herself. But when she reached Bing Di's territory, Bing Di had vanished without a trace. Helpless, the Snow Empress left and later discovered the precious snow lotus. She chose to transform here, in the Arctic ice field, her absolute dominion. No spirit beast would dare disturb her in her own territory. Even Titan's Snow Devil King, one of the 3 kings of the far north, would think twice. Human intruders were rarer still. There were no treasures in the Arctic ice field humans coveted, and in the past millennia, almost none had dared enter the core region. Confident and resolute, the Snow Empress did not plan to find protectors for the transformation. But fate had other plans. Spirit beast transformation? Heaven's help indeed. A voice, frantic with excitement like a clap of thunder, shattered the snowy mountain's tranquility and startled the Snow Empress at the most vulnerable moment. The embryo within the egg opened its eyes, and what it saw was a human in a black robe, his face alight with greed. He fumbled a wooden tray from his robes, and pouring in spirit power, the tray burst with dazzling golden light. Several golden chains shot out like agile snakes and bound the snow-white egg. The Snow Empress was furious. Just as she tried to mobilize her spirit power to resist, she discovered with horror that her power would not respond. Her transformation was abruptly interrupted. All its momentum vanished. Golden runes spread across the mountain peak, and a powerful seal formation crystallized, firmly suppressing the embryo. "Despicable human," the Snow Empress roared. Her voice carried unprecedented killing intent. She was furious, not only because her transformation had been stopped and her hope shattered, but because she felt utterly powerless. If this had happened a minute earlier, before she had become an embryo, she might have been able to fight the human to the death. If it had happened a minute later, after she completed the transformation, she could have used her true strength and turned the tide. But fate had acted cruelly. The human had arrived at her weakest moment, and the spirit tool in his hand seemed tailor-made to counter an embryonic state. The coincidence was too great. For an instant, she thought her 700,000-year heavenly tribulation had come early in the form of a human tribulation. But careful sensing revealed her tribulation had not yet come. This was mere coincidence. A 100,000-year spirit beast embryo. It wasn't in vain to sneak into this far north. Don't waste your energy, spirit beast. Under my God-sealing platform, you have no escape. This is heaven's will to destroy you." The black-robed man crowed. He held the golden tray high and laughed at the sky, triumphant, as if he had already reached the pinnacle of the world. He was a Juji Hun Daoshi, 9th-level soul instructor, not a master of direct confrontation. He wouldn't have dared face an ordinary 100,000-year spirit beast in open combat, let alone take it alive. But this time, fortune smiled on him, and the huge pie had fallen into his lap. Bastard! The Snow Empress spat in indignation. The proud dominator of the far north had been so easily subdued by a human she deemed weak. If she had known this would be her fate, she would rather face the 700,000-year heavenly tribulation and risk total annihilation than be humiliated into capture. God-sealing platform, suppress her for me, the black-robed man shouted, pouring more spirit power into the device. Golden runes flared, the seal formation strengthened, and the chains tightened, drawing the embryo toward the platform. Suddenly, a huge black shadow slid past the man from behind. Who? The black-robed man was alarmed. Though he had barely reached titled Douluo strength by taking medicines, he was still a titled Douluo, and being approached from behind without warning sent a jolt of fear through him. A slightly arrogant, clear voice echoed from the void realm, reverberating through the icy world. Interesting. Why would you, a non-ice-type 9th-level soul instructor, come to this far north? Yeah, why did I come to the far north? The black-robed man's thoughts wavered as the huge snake-like shadow enveloped him. His vigilance blurred, his spirit dazed for a moment. He found himself unable to recall why he had risked so much to break into the far north, or why he had brought a single-function, non-offensive, god-sealing platform. You don't know either? Then you're useless. The arrogant voice sounded distinctly disappointed. As the words fell, a jet-black spike, crackling with green lightning, shot out like a bolt and pierced the man's chest. Green lightning danced over his body, crackling. Ah! His pupils widened. Confusion filled his eyes. Blood leaked from his mouth. He slumped to the ground, dead without knowing why he had come or who had killed him. The sorrow of the weak, becoming a pawn without even knowing it, the voice said again, laden with disdain. With the man's death, the golden, god-sealing platform lost its control and began to fall toward the ice. But before it hit, a snow-white, slender hand reached out from the void realm and caught it gently. Mobius examined the Snow Empress's embryo, still bound by the god-sealing platform, with interest, an odd light flickering in her eyes. At her side, Lu Jingming's figure appeared silently. He looked at the black-robed man's corpse with an emotionless expression. The body that manifested there was an illusory projection. It was not his true form. Mobius held the god-sealing platform in one hand. The golden chains slackened, but still wrapped around the snow-white egg. She regarded the embryo with curiosity and a hint of calculation in her gaze. Lu Jingming's silent presence completed the strange tableau atop the snow-capped peak, where the far north's fate had just suffered a sudden and unexpected turn. Chapter 111, Convincing Shuedi. Who are you two? The Snow Emperor asked coldly. Even though the human who had ambushed and sealed her was dead, her guard didn't drop. The god-sealing platform that had once imprisoned her was now in the hands of another human. Wariness filled her heart. She wasn't even sure the newcomer was truly human. You the Snow Emperor? Look at you. What a sorry sight. The one you picked isn't very impressive. Why not hand her over and let her be my Xiao Bai? Mobius's eyes glinted with amusement. She mocked the Snow Emperor without mercy, then let her gaze leisurely drop to Lu Jingming. Suitable candidates aren't many, Snake. Lu Jingming sighed helplessly. He knew Mobius's style all too well. Insult prospective allies straight away. That just escalated things. He could already feel the Snow Emperor's anger like a rising aura. You should kill me now, the Snow Emperor said, voice cold and hard as ice. Otherwise I'll make you regret it. Pride would not let her accept this humiliation. She didn't know what Xiaobai meant, but she instinctively knew it was not flattering. Even cornered, her aura remained sharp and unyielding. Snow Emperor, there's no need for that. We aren't your enemies. We might even become allies. Lu Jingming softened his tone, trying to ease the tension. Allies? With humans? What a joke. I'd rather self-destruct than be companions with them. The Snow Emperor snorted in disdain. Even now, like a fish on a chopping board, she refused to compromise. If given the chance, she'd rather take everything down with her. Snow Emperor, don't you want to know why this human appeared so conveniently at the exact moment you were vulnerable, and why they happened to bring a seal-type level 9 spirit tool? Lu Jingming tried another tack. The Snow Emperor's pride made direct appeals useless. He hoped to pry open her curiosity. What do you mean? her brows knit in alarm. She had long wondered about that coincidence. Why did a human show up precisely when she was weakest, carrying a tool capable of sealing her? Too many coincidences hid something deliberate. "You carry the luck of the far north," Lu Jingming said patiently. "Things have favored you for countless years. You survived 700,000 years, heavenly tribulation, and even found 100,000-year snow lotus. With such unique blessings, how did you fall into such a desperate state here? Do you really think it was all by chance?" The Snow Emperor's heart tightened. Humans listed her among the 10 great vicious beasts, but their true knowledge of her was limited. Yet Lu Jingming knew not only that she bore the luck of the far north, but also details of her cultivation age and the tribulation she'd faced. That unnerved her. Who were these two, and how much did they know? "Allow me to introduce," Lu Jingming said with a faint, formal smile. "This is Lord Mobius, honored master of the Devil King Alliance, the World Serpent. I am her subordinate, the 6th seed of the World Serpent, God's gift of brocade robes, dispenser of the wine of death, sweet dreams, king of tranquility." The Snow Emperor said nothing, only stared at Lu Jingming with suspicion. She had heard him call the green-haired girl Snake Snake earlier. That sounded more like a pet name than an address to a superior. Was he mocking her intelligence? "Subordinate is just another word for companion," Lu Jingming added when persuasion failed. "If you join the World Serpent, we're equals, no rigid hierarchy." "I will not join you," the Snow Emperor said flatly. "You failed at your human transformation, your origin is damaged, and you're about to face your 7th heavenly tribulation. Your death is almost certain. Join us, we can help you." Lu Jingming persisted, calm and patient. "So what? I'd rather die than bow to anyone, least of all humans." Her refusal was absolute. "Is that so? You don't fear death, then? Do you at least want to know where Ice Emperor went?" Lu Jingming's voice turned playful. He had aimed straight for her soft spot. Ice Emperor. "Binger? What have you done to Binger?" The Snow Emperor's composure broke. Ice Emperor was one of the few she truly cared for in the far north. Death wouldn't move her much, but the safety of Binger pierced her like a dagger. "Don't misunderstand, we haven't even met Ice Emperor, much less harmed her." Lu Jingming waved his hand to dismiss the implication. "Then where is she?" The dread in the Snow Emperor's voice was plain. Ice Emperor never left the far north without telling her. She had suspected something when she couldn't find her, but had been too occupied with her human transformation to pursue it. She has become part of a human spirit ring, and her spirit bone has been refined. Lu Jingming told the truth, omitting only a tiny detail. Impossible. With Binger's cultivation, who in the far north could kill her? The Snow Emperor was stunned. In her view, Ice Emperor's strength plus the far north's environment made her nearly invincible, certainly beyond what a human could overcome. How could someone silently slay Ice Emperor and absorb her spirit ring and spirit bone without the Snow Emperor noticing? "Heh, your cultivation is stronger, yet you were still plotted against here and ended up like this." Lu Jingming's tone carried a faint mockery, but it was accurate. The Snow Emperor was momentarily speechless. Indeed, on her home ground, she had been forced into such a plight by a human titled Douluo. If Lu Jingming and Mobius hadn't intervened, her end would have been bleak. "So, Snow Emperor, don't you want to know who's plotting against you, and who absorbed Binger's spirit ring and spirit bone?" he pressed. After a long silence, the Snow Emperor bowed her proud head. She wasn't afraid to die, but she refused to perish in ignorance. Revenge for Ice Emperor burned in her heart. Whoever managed to plot against her from the shadows had to be far stronger. If Lu Jingming and Mobius knew so many inside details, their Devil King alliance might have the means to fight back. "All right, I'll join you, but you must help me and Binger get revenge." Her voice was low but steady. "Very good. Welcome to the World Serpent." Relief flickered across Lu Jingming's face. Convincing the Snow Emperor had not been easy. "Now tell me, who's plotting against me and who killed Binger?" she demanded. "The one plotting against you is a divinity from the God realm." Lu Jingming's expression remained composed. "And I never said Binger died." "You lied." The Snow Emperor's tone hardened. "No." Lu Jingming shook his head. "Binger's spirit ring and spirit bone were absorbed by a human, but her soul remains with that human. She has not perished." Why would a divinity from the god realm plot against me? And who is that human? The Snow Emperor asked, restless for answers. It's for the luck you carry. Luck can help divinities cultivate and break through to higher realms. Lu Jingming's tone was matter of fact. As for the human, you'll meet them in time. All right, I'll believe you this once. Given her current state, the Snow Emperor reasoned that if Lu Jingming intended to harm her, he wouldn't bother with lies. Snake. Lu Jingming glanced at Mobius. The green-haired woman toyed casually with the god ceiling platform, clearly uninterested in the conversation. Finally settled, Mobius said lazily. If you ask me, hand this little snow girl over to me for a few days of training, and I'll have her obedient in no time. A yandere smile curled her lips. Green lightning flashed in her hand, and in an instant, the golden god ceiling platform turned to ash. Chapter 112. The Herrscher of Ice. When Mobius spoke of training, Lu Jingming's mouth twitched. That kind of training probably meant using the Snow Empress as a guinea pig in those mad experiments. Once freed from the seal formation, the Snow Empress embryo immediately regained its autonomy. A powerful surge of spirit power radiated out from it. The infant in the embryo grew rapidly, not into human form, but reverting to her original manifestation as the ice and snow goddess. Her failed transformation meant she could no longer fully take human shape, and the accident had severely damaged her origin, greatly reducing the glory of her peak strength. The snow-white giant egg vanished, and in a blinding white light, a breathtaking young woman with white hair and blue eyes emerged like an ice and snow goddess. She wore a white dress, her slender legs were sheathed in white stockings that emphasized their shape, and white short boots encased her feet. Lu Jingming studied her and felt she looked a little more youthful, a bit more petite than the image in his mind. But that made sense. Her transformation had failed, and part of her origin was gone. Elemental beings like her often change outwardly with shifts in their essence. Speak. What exactly do you want me to do? The Snow Empress asked, arms crossed and expression cold. Though she had just been liberated, her innate arrogance remained intact. She had promised to join the Devil King Alliance and would keep that promise. The Devil King Alliance? From the name, it's clearly an enemy of the divinities, Lu Jingming said, a faint smile tugging at his lips. The Snow Empress snorted in derision. Ridiculous. I admit I'm strong, but oppose the divinities? You're all mad. She had lived for hundreds of thousands of years and had witnessed the three divinities' war 10,000 years ago. She knew the chasm between divinities and mortals. Even in her arrogance, she understood that a single casual strike from a divinity could end her. Being an enemy of the divinities is a long-term goal, Lu Jingming said patiently, a hint of helplessness in his eyes. It's not something we confront head-on right now. The divinities you intend to deal with aren't just one. Shock widened the Snow Empress's eyes. She had thought opposing a single divinity was insane. She hadn't expected there to be more than one. Forget it. Let you see for yourself, Lu Jingming said, winking at Mobius. Hehe, little Snow Empress, you'll soon learn that so-called divinities are merely powerful life forms, Mobius said with a meaningful smile. She drew the ice-blue gem Lu Jingming had given her from her embrace and tossed it casually to the Snow Empress, as if it were a roadside pebble rather than a priceless artifact. The Snow Empress reached for the gem warily. The instant her fingers touched it, the gem exploded into brilliant azure light and a stream of radiance shot into her. The far north chilled several degrees at once. Even the long-lived spirit beasts there gave uneasy low growls. Terrifying cold chi surged from the Snow Empress as its epicenter, tidal and relentless. Fortuitously, Lu Jingming was only a projection, otherwise he might have frozen solid. Mobius stood encased in a barrier of green lightning, which sheltered her from the extreme cold. The Snow Empress's body floated up out of control. The ice elements of the world seemed summoned by an unseen hand, roaring toward her. Her girlish figure stretched and matured, quickly becoming a striking woman of about 20. Her clothing shifted as well. A silver-blue gradient robe cloaked her tall frame, the outer layer overlaid with crystal-clear ice armor. The hem whipped like a blizzard, edged with sharp ice thorns that radiated freezing chill. Her pauldrons became giant ice crystal wings that shimmered dreamily. A translucent crown of ice floated above her waterfall of silver-white hair. The tips of her hair dissolved into an ethereal mist of frost, and her pupils altered into hexagonal snowflake patterns. A divinity gave me an incense burner, ripening endless beings, bustling king of tumult, Snow Empress. From now on, you are the fifth throne of the world snake, the king of tumult, she intoned as the simulated Herrscher core Lu Jingming had formed fused with her. Lu Jingming watched as the Snow Empress merged with the simulated Herrscher of Ice core he had created. Her Herrscher form was monstrously powerful. As he'd suspected, her compatibility with the simulated core was extremely high. She completed the fusion in record time. Though the Herrscher was only simulated, its power was already formidable on the Douluo Continent. More importantly, the Snow Empress now had virtually limitless growth potential. She wasn't one of those fusion warriors whose development he capped. She could truly grow into a top-tier force, a genuine Devil King. Such strength? She breathed, astonishment and exhilaration flooding her. Feeling the strange, potent force within her, she realized she no longer needed to will the ice around her into being. She could lower the temperature with a mere thought. The ceiling of this power seemed astronomically high. She wondered if, with it, she could approach the theoretical absolute zero, something even the god of ice and snow might find near impossible. With this augmentation, combined with her existing might, she felt sure she could even defeat Beast God Emperor Tian. Her body had changed qualitatively. The premonitions of heavenly tribulation that had long haunted her were gone. She was no longer merely a spirit beast. She stood in a state near divinity, wielding the authority of ice, poised on a new peak. "Why give me something so powerful?" she asked as she floated down and landed steadily before Lu Jingming, studying him with complex emotions. Though Mobius physically handed her the gem, the Snow Empress knew the young white-haired man standing there was the true architect. "No special reason. Your compatibility was high," Lu Jingming said calmly. He couldn't tell her that in his previous life he had already favored her, and that he now needed divine-rank combat power, which was part of why he'd chosen her. "Thank you," the Snow Empress said softly after a long silence. No matter what, Lu Jingming and Mobius had saved her and given her this vast new strength. She was a spirit beast, but understood gratitude perhaps better than many humans. She would not forget this kindness. "Little Snow Empress, if you want to repay me, why not let me study you properly?" Mobius's eyes glittered like one who had discovered a rare specimen. She stared at the Snow Empress with a scientist's hunger. What would happen when a spirit beast whose transformation had failed fused with a Herrscher gem? Under that almost feverish gaze, the Snow Empress felt uneasy and backed a step, casting a pleading look at Lu Jingming. With anyone else, she would have drawn a blade, but toward her savior she hesitated, yet every cell of her resisted Mobius's research. "Cooperate with research, fine, but do not let her experiment on you, and absolutely do not let her inject you with those strange things," Lu Jingming said helplessly. He had to balance Mobius's curiosity with protecting the Snow Empress, an annoying dilemma. "Snow Empress, you've seen it. This body of mine is only a mental projection. My main body is in Sea Abyss City in the Star Luo Empire, and the one who absorbed the Ice Empress's spirit ring will go there as well," he added, his voice serious, locking eyes with her. "Sea Abyss City? I will go," she answered, nodding. "One last thing. My name is Lu Jingming. Welcome to the World Snake," he said, and his projection vanished. "Lu Jingming," she murmured, a faint light sparkling in her eyes. "All right, little Snow Empress, I'll go now. Next time you must let me study you properly," Mobius said breezily, waving. Magically, an Ouroboros ring band flew from her wrist to the Snow Empress. "This ring marks you as a World Snake member. Use it to enter the simulated universe. If anything happens, use it to contact me, or contact that little guy," she added, nodding toward where Lu Jingming had been. Without waiting for further comprehension, Mobius disappeared in an instant, leaving the Snow Empress standing where she'd been, gazing in the direction of Mobius's vanishing and lost in thought. In Sea Abyss City, inside a spacious chamber filled with rare treasures and delicate instruments, Lu Jingming opened his eyes. Fatigue from projecting his consciousness lingered for a moment before the surroundings eased it away. A large mirror stood silently before him, its surface smooth and emitting a deep blue glow. Behind him, Herta sat with her legs crossed, leisurely enjoying afternoon tea. With his current Spirit King level power, projecting his mind across thousands of miles to the far north would have been impossible, if not for Herta's level 10 spirit tool, the Herta Magic Mirror. That artifact had made the seemingly impossible meeting happen. "When you're done, hurry up and leave. Don't disturb my research," Herta said coldly as she sipped black tea, elegant in posture and crisp in tone like a silver bell. "How come I don't see you researching, young Miss Herta?" Lu Jingming teased, smiling. His gaze skimmed the busy puppets beside her and then returned to Herta's relaxed face. The puppets, expressionless but skillful, massaged her shoulders and legs and periodically offered fragrant tea or delicate biscuits. The scene was oddly serene. "How could a genius's affairs be so plain to you?" Herta said, lifting her unique magic hat and giving him a sideways look. "All right, you're the genius. I'm mediocre. Got it." Lu Jingming shrugged in mock surrender and casually settled beside her, patting the empty seat. A Herta puppet would neatly pour him tea and continue the massage service. Being served by a puppet that looked exactly like Herta was a peculiar indulgence, one even in Herta's original universe he wouldn't usually get. "If you like it, I'll give you one," Herta said magnanimously. She had no fear that Lu Jingming would do something inappropriate with a puppet. "No thanks," he replied almost reflexively. The thought of being attended by a Herta double while other intimate scenes might happen, and the real Herta suddenly coming online to see everything, felt awkward. It was stimulating, but he suppressed the impulse and declined. Besides, a Herta puppet services could be replicated by Zhang Lexuan, who was gentler and more considerate. If it were the real Herta serving him, that would be another matter entirely. Herta watched him, clearly reading his thoughts. "Daydreaming again?" she asked. Chapter 113, Tong San's Actions. The God Realm was forever wrapped in a shimmering golden halo, dreamlike and ethereal. Misty clouds drifted, and islands hung suspended in the sky, their palaces arranged in orderly magnificence. Each palace belonged to a different divinity and their family, each radiating its own unique divine might. One palace, however, stood out above the rest. Set high in the upper reaches of the realm, it exuded a blue-gold aura like a brilliant star. Illusory oceans roared around it, and at its center rose a tall golden trident sculpture that gleamed in the light and radiated an impressive presence. Above the gate, the ancient characters for Sea God Palace were written in strokes like dragons and phoenixes, every line infused with the reverence and force of a god king. Right now, the Sea God Palace was unusually quiet. In the heart of the divine palace, an extraordinarily handsome young man sat cross-legged, his long deep-sea blue hair cascading down his back. It was Sea God Tang San, one of the God Realm's famed law enforcement divinities. Suddenly, Tang San's eyes snapped open. A tiny flicker of doubt crossed his gaze. A chess piece he had casually placed had failed to produce the expected effect, and that small deviation had altered one link in his carefully arranged plan. It was not critical to the whole scheme, but for someone as meticulous as Tang San, even a minor mistake demanded attention. He closed his eyes again, sending an invisible divine sense slipping silently across spatial barriers toward the Douluo Continent. It followed the faint residual aura of that chess piece northward at lightning speed until it halted where the piece's trace had dissipated. Blue-gold divine force rippled out from the divine sense, trying to reconstruct what had just happened there. Just as the surroundings began to distort and images from the past were about to reform, a pitch-black snake shadow burst out of the void realm, moving like a flash of lightning. It opened a gaping maw, fangs glinting, and lunged to bite the divine sense. A low, majestic snort, like rolling thunder, responded from the divine sense. A phantom golden trident appeared and pierced through the snake shadow, tearing away a strange mass of purple energy. Before Tang San's divine sense could react further, the snake's tail lashed out like a thick black whip. With terrifying force, an entire snowy mountain collapsed in a roar, and the earth trembled. The snake shadow distorted violently, breaking into countless specks of light that dissipated between heaven and earth. Watching through his divine sense, Tang San instantly realized that the snake's attack had not been aimed at him, but at clearing traces of the place. The other party had deliberately erased evidence. Anger flared within the divine sense. Tang San prepared to pursue the remaining traces, but then hesitated. After a moment's thought, he seized the intercepted purple energy and shot back to the god realm like a falling star. Back in the sea god palace, Tang San's expression was grave as he cradled the purple energy his divine sense had brought back. His gaze flicked outward like a torch. Across the distance, a handsome young man with short purple hair and a purple cloak stared back at the palace with sharp, warning eyes. The other divinities sensed the tension but showed no surprise. Hostility between the sea god and the god of destruction was common knowledge. Even their current standoff, compared to past conflicts, was restrained. "Third brother, what's the matter? Is that destruction bothering you again?" A clear, pleasant voice asked. Xiao Wu appeared gracefully at Tang San's side. Her black scorpion tail braid swung behind her. She was exquisite and composed, every movement full of mature charm. She was Tang San's beloved, and the sheath of the Asura sword and worry marked her face. "A minor issue on the Douluo Continent," Tang San said. "I sent a wisp of divine sense to investigate, and I didn't expect destruction to discover it." Tang San seldom hid things from Xiao Wu. Aside from the unspeakable secrets, he told her almost everything. Xiao Wu pouted and glared fiercely toward the distant Destruction Divine Palace. "Destruction is really something. You're a law enforcement divinity. Your duty is to keep the planes under the God realm safe. It was only a wisp of divine sense, and you didn't interfere directly with the lower realm. Why be so severe?" "Forget it, Xiao Wu. I overstepped. He was giving me a warning. It's better not to make a big deal of it," Tang San said, stroking her head gently. He didn't want to completely break with the god of destruction. He wasn't confident he could beat him yet. The god of destruction was an old god king whose subordinate Sin divinities were top-tier first-class divinities. Before Tang San's plan on the Douluo Continent was finished, a direct conflict with destruction would be unwise. He needed more power and stronger allies to tilt the balance in this god realm struggle. Xiao Wu's eyes then fell to the purple energy Tang San gripped. "What's that?" "It's like high-level energy, stronger than divine force, but I've never seen anything like it. It feels strange." "This is the unexpected thing that appeared on the Douluo Continent," Tang San replied. "I don't know whether it came from a powerhouse of another world or if it's some sort of treasure that accidentally fell there." Tang San's eyes clouded with doubt. The Douluo Continent had been under his close watch. Even during his seclusion, Rong Nianbing kept guard. If a powerful being from another world had truly entered the Douluo Continent, he should have known. Yet here was an anomaly that had shifted his plans. Luckily, his main plan remained intact for the moment. Tang San glanced at Xiao Wu with a flicker of apology. If she knew what he had done to Xiao Qi, she would be furious. He knew. Yet he had been forced into it. To advance in the god realm and suppress the god of destruction, he needed the luck of the Douluo Continent to strengthen himself, and he needed the child of luck from that world to ascend to the god realm as his right hand. Xiao Qi had become a necessary sacrifice in this scheme. Still, Tang San rationalized that it wasn't a true sacrifice. The two fragments of Xiao Qi's soul were only small parts. Her main body slept safely in his hands. Everything those soul fragments experienced had been a fleeting dream, meant, in his view, to improve her foundation and prepare her for the path to divinity. Even for the daughter of a god king, solidifying a god position and becoming a true divinity was arduous. Obstacles had to be overcome step by step. He had arranged everything for Xiao Qi, convinced it was for her future. Yet Xiao Qi's potential had limits. For his greater plan, Tang San felt he absolutely needed a son. The patriarchal ideas from his previous life were deeply rooted, and even as a god king, they were hard to shake. His gaze naturally fell toward Xiao Wu, and she caught his look. Her face flushed like sunset, impossibly charming. In that warm, ambiguous moment, neither noticed that a small portion of the mysterious purple energy had already begun to dissipate, like strands of smoke slowly merging into the god realm. In Sea Abyss City, Heita's lips curved in a meaningful smile. "You little fellow," she murmured. "You really knew that sea god inside and out. He did exactly as you predicted. He snatched a portion of the Bengui energy from that snake and brought it back to the god realm." Lu Jingming's face remained impassive. He had long suspected Shui Di's affair was tied to sea god Tangsan. His earlier interference in Tangsan's plan would naturally draw Tangsan's attention, which he could exploit. Even if things didn't go exactly to plan, he'd only lost time. Tangsan had not disappointed him. "So, Great Lady Heita, you've locked on to the God Realm's coordinates?" Lu Jingming asked, his tone faintly pleased. Heita's expression was cool and confident. Although it's in a different spatial dimension, the Bengui energy is too conspicuous in this universe. Using Thousand Realms One Ride, it was very easy to find the God Realm's location. For her, the task hadn't been difficult. Even without the Bengui energy serving as a signal, given enough time, she was confident she could locate the God Realm. "Good. The next plan depends entirely on you," Lu Jingming said, releasing a slight sigh. "You really know how to take orders. You're the first to dare order me around like this, Heita. Don't forget what I want. Make sure you get it." Heita feigned irritation, but she knew exactly what she had to do. "Don't worry, I won't forget." Lu Jingming rubbed his forehead in mock helplessness. The things Heita needed weren't creations of this world. They could only be materialized by him using the power of reality. It looked as though he would have to pay a heavy price this time. Chapter 114. Danheng time passed in a flash. Lu Jingming had already turned 14, and the 2024 All-Continent Advanced Spirit Master Academy Soul Fighting Tournament was fast approaching in Sea Abyss City. Months earlier, the Luo Empire had sent detailed invitations to all invited academies, announcing that this year's tournament would no longer be held in the familiar Luo city but in the somewhat unfamiliar Sea Abyss City. For most academies, the change of venue mattered little. They had come to compete, to show strength and fight for honor, so the exact location was secondary. A few perceptive people sensed something odd about the move, but ultimately dismissed it as internal business of the Luo Empire. Hosting a continent-level event required immense preparation, tournament logistics, security, accommodations, and countless other details. Any lapse could cause chaos. Xu Jiawei and Xu Ju understood this, so they sent an experienced professional team to Sea Abyss City to assist with overall planning. When the news first broke, Luo's top brass were alarmed. The competing interests behind such an event were complex, and the venue change set off a chain reaction of concerns. With Xu Jiawei's backing, Sea Abyss City ultimately secured the hosting rights. The Luo imperial family voiced support, and Protector Douluo Tianying, a level 98 titled Douluo, publicly expressed his stance. Sea Abyss City also made significant concessions on profit distribution, relinquishing most of the immediate benefits. Those moves finally quelled the uproar. After that, Sea Abyss City threw itself into preparations. In a short time, a brand new competition complex sprang up, and hotels and restaurants rose like mushrooms. Xu Jiawei allocated a large adjoining territory to the city, enabling rapid expansion. Today, Sea Abyss City looked entirely new, broader in scale, better planned, and with improved infrastructure. The city could easily support 5 million people, and with temporary high-rises, its capacity could exceed 20 million. Much of this was due to the city's advanced soul-guided technology and Qi King's tireless planning. Modern architectural designs squeezed the most out of every inch for housing and public spaces. Still, despite the boom, Sea Abyss City lagged behind the continent's major metropolises. Its permanent population remained under 1 million. Luo City sat at 8 million, Shrek City 5 million, and Mingdu, undisputedly the continent's #1 city, was in a different league. Mingdu spanned an area larger than the combined capitals of the original 3 Douluo empires, with a permanent population over 20 million, a thriving economy, and a dazzling array of soul-guided products. Cities like Luo, Heaven Do, Doling, and Shrek all trailed behind Mingdu. Lu Jingming, however, was optimistic about Sea Abyss City's future. If the tournament succeeded, it would bring a flood of visitors and investment. He valued not only the tournament's immediate prestige, but the long-term benefits of population growth and economic expansion. Sacrificing short-term profits now would lead to greater returns later. He believed population was the core driver of a city's prosperity. At St. Freya Academy, as the tournament neared, Official team members like Gu Yue, Robin, Jingxi, and others gathered frequently to practice team coordination. Lu Jingming thought differently. With the strength of their 7 members, he believed they could each fight individually and still sweep the competition. Intensive team drills seemed unnecessary to him. March 7th, little San Yue was anything but indifferent. This was her first time attending an all-continent event, and she had thrown herself into preparations with unusual seriousness. She was a favorite of the team, cherished almost as much as the pink-haired fox, and Robin and Jingxi willingly set aside time to train with her. Even the usually aloof Gu Yue couldn't refuse little San Yue's requests. The two were among the closest in the group. So Lu Jingming was surprised when he discovered March 7th was missing. Little San Yue went out with Ye Gai, Robin explained softly. She heard there were evil spirit masters long entrenched in the Mingdo mountain range that the White Tiger army hadn't finished off. Ye Guai wanted to purify them to improve her cultivation, and little San Yue went along for the excitement. Though Ye Guai had not been at the academy long, her strength had already earned her an A rank. Bold and tenacious, she had sparred and rubbed shoulders with Ying, Gu Yue, and others until they became familiar. Ye Gui, Lan Susu, and Lan Luoluo had even been chosen for the academy's reserve team and often joined March 7th's practice sessions. Lu Jingming's expression tightened. Evil spirit masters in the Mingdo mountain range? Who did she go with? Robin smiled faintly. Dan Heng went with them. Lu Jingming relaxed. He had asked the Wuchang division to find evil spirit masters for Yagai to purify as practice, and he knew the Mingdo mountain range harbored a particularly dangerous presence, the death god's messenger, the strongest spirit king recorded in history. That spirit king's exploits were infamous. He had nearly annihilated Shrek Academy's 7 main team members and once brazenly abducted Huo Yuhao, even in front of a level 98 titled Douluo, then retreated without harm. Such a record was singular across the Douluo Continent. Good, Lu Jingming said. With Dan Heng there, I feel better. Robin's eyes were warm. Though Yagai was brave and little San Yue often naive, she had insisted on dragging Dan Heng along. As a member of the train crew's entourage, Dan Heng brought both strength and steadiness, exactly the kind of companion who would make March 7th bolder. When Lu Jingming summoned Dan Heng, he had not been stingy with true power. He had not pushed to absolute peak. He couldn't afford the true power that would require. But he had granted Dan Heng enough to stand at titled Douluo level. Dan Heng wasn't some grand elder of the Holy Spirit cult. He was an evil spirit master spirit king. Lu Jingming found it hard to imagine him failing. Guye's face, however, registered something strange as Robin and Lu Jingming spoke Dan Heng's name. Over the years living together, she had noticed Seabis City's oddities and Lu Jingming's secrets. One Jingxi had been enough, but now there was another, Dan Heng. The two of them gave her an odd sense of déjà vu, like dragons reappearing, and their presence, one stronger than the other, left the Silver Dragon King feeling unusually unsettled. Lu Jingming caught that expression and smiled inwardly. He wondered what Guye would think if she ever learned that Xiade also had a dragon. The thought made him quietly anticipatory. There were practical reasons for summoning Dan Heng beyond the tournament. Lu Jingming felt Seabis City leaned too heavily toward the yin. Aside from him and the city lord, most of the city's senior officials were women, capable pillars all, but lacking some yang energy. Dan Heng's arrival added that balance. It also made little San Yue happy. As for Jinglu, without her Mara-struck state, she was less extreme. Dan Heng did not claim to be Dan Feng, and Jinglu couldn't equate Dan Heng with Dan Feng. She hated Dan Feng for desecrating Bai Heng and forcing her into the Mara-struck state, a grave sin. She did not hate Dan Heng. Lu Jingming knew the Cloud Knight's glory was a thing of the past. Even if he could summon Bai Heng, he couldn't reverse time or restore old friendships. Still, he planned to summon Bai Heng when the time was right. Jinglu should at least be able to find some comfort. Bai Heng had sacrificed herself to save Jinglu and Dan Feng, and that remained the deepest regret of Jinglu's life. Lu Jingming hoped, in some small way, to ease that regret. Chapter 115, The Strongest Spirit King in History. Woohoo! High above the bright Dew mountain range, 1,000 meters up, March 7th spread a pair of pink flying spirit tools and tore through the air, laughing with delight. She dove sharply, climbed straight up, drew graceful arcs, and shouted with the wide-eyed, innocent grin of a child. Beside her, Dan Heng and Ye Gai flew in easy formation. A faint, ethereal azure wind wrapped around Dan Heng as if alive, gently supporting him so he floated steadily in the void realm. His posture was elegant and casual, his face calm as still water. Ye Gai, meanwhile, had unfurled a pair of golden wings whose feathers shone with holy light, resplendent and solemn. She watched March 7th's unbridled antics with a small twitch at her mouth, a touch of helplessness in her eyes. She had known March 7th was mischievous, but seeing her in person made Ye Gai realize she had underestimated just how lively the girl could be. Dan Heng, this flying spirit tool is so much fun. Aren't you going to try it? March 7th shouted mid-flip. The exclusive tool had been given to her by Lu Jingming. It performed beautifully and was her favorite shade of pink, so she adored it. No, I don't need it, Dan Heng replied calmly, shaking his head. The azure wind about him fluttered as if in agreement. You're no fun, March 7th pouted, a flash of disappointed annoyance on her face. Seeing Dan Heng fly unaided struck her as boring. Ye Gai watched the exchange, a strange feeling rising in her chest. She barely knew Dan Heng, the librarian of St. Freya Academy, and remarkably, a titled Douluo. Yet March 7th treated him like a companion, calling him by name with no trace of reverence. To most on the Douluo Continent, titled Douluo were near legendary figures at the peak of spirit masterdom. For someone to be so casual with one was astonishing. Little San, stop playing around. We're here. Ye Gai peered at the map in her hand, compared it to the bright dough terrain below, and called up to March 7th. Though younger than March 7th, everyone simply called her Little San after spending so much time together. Ah, already? March 7th screeched to a stop, eyes sparkling with reluctant excitement. It's not far. Seabis City lies close to the Bright Doe Range, Ye Gai said. This time, she was the main force sent to suppress an evil spirit master. March 7th had come for fun, and Dan Heng had been dragged along as a self-appointed bodyguard. I heard the evil spirit master is a spirit king. Gai, are you sure? Need my help? March 7th asked. She knew something of Ye Gai's strength. Though Ye Gai had recently broken into the spirit ancestor realm, facing a spirit king-level evil spirit master still troubled her. My spirit naturally restrains such evil spirit master, Ye Gai answered with a confident smile. My holy purification is their bane. A spirit king-level evil spirit master is nothing. I can even handle a spirit emperor level with effort. Then be careful. March 7th nodded. Having Dan Heng there eased her worries. If things turned ugly, he could step in. Found it, right here. Ye Gai rechecked the map and scanned the slope until she spotted a cave tucked into the mountainside. Lu Jingming had the Wuchang division gather intelligence for her, and they had already located the Hand of Death Evil Spirit Master group. They'd simply waited for Ye Gai to act on it herself. She had sworn she would kill them with her own blade. Pride as a holy angel wouldn't allow her to take others' spoils. Someone's been here, Dan Heng said sharply, noticing disturbed vines and a trail of messy footprints at the entrance. The prints varied in size and depth, unlike ordinary passers-by, and suggested the group who'd left them were not very old. The Hand of Death was normally cautious. They wouldn't leave such obvious traces unless something had rushed them. Did someone beat us here? March 7th fretted as she saw the broken vines and footprints. Let's go see, Ye Gai said, drawing a white-gold holy sword that gleamed with golden light. Confident as she was, she would not loosen her guard against such treacherous foes. March 7th quickly notched a pink longbow and followed. Dan Heng closed his eyes and let the wind about him carry his senses. Like extra ears and eyes, it relayed every subtle shift of aura inside the cave. He already had a picture of the situation, but he knew this was Ye Gai's fight. Unless things turned dire, he would not interfere. The cave narrowed at the entrance and widened within. About 50 meters in, a foul stench of blood hit them, almost making them retch. March 7th screamed. Her face drained of color, and she trembled. Rage flared in her eyes. On the cave walls hung more than a dozen human skins, dried to a dark red, and even more horrific, an infant corpse skewered on a stalagmite, Its tiny face had gone pale. Its blank eyes seemed to record an endless grievance. Monsters. Yigai's fingers clenched on her sword so hard her knuckles whitened. Her beautiful face hardened with fury and a murderous intent. She wanted nothing more than to tear these evil spirit master apart. Even Dan Heng, usually placid, showed a flicker of anger in his eyes. The azure wind around him surged in response, as if it too was outraged. "They don't even spare infants," March 7th whispered, disgust replacing curiosity. From deeper in the cave came faint sounds of fighting and killing. A fierce battle was underway. "Let's hurry. None of them can be left alive." Yigai quickened her pace. Whoever had come first meant no matter. Their target was the same. The three pushed on, passing mutilated bodies, some cleft in two, some headless. Whoever had gone before them had utterly hated these evil spirit masters, showing no mercy. Then the cave shook. Explosions boomed, rocks rained down, dust filled the air, and a dazzling yellow light lanced in from the entrance behind them. Dan Heng reacted instantly. A long spear flashed into his hand, and he stepped in front of Yigai and March 7th, eyes fixed on the yellow light. He sensed a powerful titled Douluo within it. The sword intent in that light struck him as oddly familiar, though he couldn't place it. Xuanzi burst in, face pale with sweat and panic. He paid no heed to the newcomers and dove further into the cave. He had found the Hand of Death's lair and judged their leader to be only a spirit king, something Shrek Academy's team should handle easily. He had let Ma Xiaotao lead the suppression while he went off hunting game to improve the team's meal. Ma Xiaotao, now free of the evil fire and a spirit saint at 19, along with Dai Yaoheng, a spirit emperor, Ling Luochen and other spirit kings, he'd been certain of victory. Now, however, things had gone disastrously wrong. This was the third humiliation he'd endured, first with Han Ruoro and Wu Ming, then Huo Yuhao, and now this, and he felt nothing but shame. "What happened?" March 7th cried, fighting to stay upright as the cave trembled. "Go see," Yigai urged, solemn. The yellow light and the vicious explosion had been centered somewhere deeper. As the shaking subsided, a sinister, chilling laugh echoed through the cave. "Heh, heh, heh!" Full of vicious glee. The sound made March 7th's skin crawl. "That laugh is pure villainy," she muttered. A horrible roar then split the air, releasing a tremendous aura and flooding the cave with harsh yellow light. A sound like a dragon and an ox combined rumbled the eardrums. They rushed on until they reached an open chamber. The sight froze them. Blood and green poisonous chi choked the space. The ground was littered with exploded corpses, limbs and bones scattered, bodies smashed and mangled beyond recognition. Several figures lay at the center, some half annihilated, some missing arms or legs, others shredded across their backs. 3 survivors were semi-conscious, faces ashen from inhaled poison. In Xuanzi's grip was a black-robed figure whose face was hidden beneath concealment. 5 spirit rings glimmered from the man. He was only a spirit king. Yigai recognized him at once, the target she had been sent to kill, the evil spirit master known as the Death Messenger. That a spirit king could cause such devastation stunned her, and she felt a chill at how insidious and unpredictable evil spirit master methods could be. The ruin before them was the best warning. Never underestimate them. Never let your guard down. Chapter 116. The Prestige of Herta. Although the scene had the makings of a tragedy, the intervention of a titled Douluo coming too late, the matter was already concluded. They were strangers to these people, but sacrificing much to eradicate an evil spirit master was at least an admirable act. Yigui had no intention of snatching credit. Even if purifying that evil spirit master herself might increase her spirit power rank, she didn't press the issue. Careful! The corpse in the field, its lower half already blown to pieces, suddenly began to swell and pulse. March 7th shouted a warning, instincts urging her to save whoever she could. The manipulated corpse was right next to the heavily wounded. If it detonated again, several more lives could be lost. Dan Heng gathered flowing wind in his hand, ready to act, but Xuanzi had already moved. A burst of yellow light enveloped the swelling corpse, confining the blast within the radiance. The explosion consumed the body completely. Senior Yao, Huo Yuhao, and the reserve team nearby cried out in anguish. Wang Yan, the black-haired young man with glasses who led them, clenched his fists, eyes full of self-reproach. Then the situation took an even stranger turn. The evil spirit master Xuanzi had captured, taking advantage of his control over the corpse's detonation, suddenly activated his fifth spirit ring. His form dissolved into a shifting black mist and slipped from Xuanzi's grasp. Instead of fleeing, the mist surged straight at Huo Yuhao. The move was so sudden that Huo Yuhao had no time to prepare. The black mist engulfed him and dragged him, screaming, into the depths of the cave. Everyone was stunned. No one expected a spirit king to escape a super duo and abduct someone in the process. Yuhao, Wang Dong and the others shouted, panic in their voices. Elder Xuan! Wang Yan screamed, urging Xuanzi to save him. Xuanzi finally snapped out of his daze. The shock of controlling the corpse's blast and watching a student's body disintegrate had frozen him for a moment. He threw a punch. The gust of his fist carved a huge pit in the cave, but the black mist and Huo Yuhao were already gone. Humph! Holy light, illuminate! Yagai snorted, folding her golden wings. The light of her 4 spirit rings burst forth. Behind her, a towering female angel phantom materialized. A sacred hymn echoed through the cave, and a brilliant golden holy light washed everything. A piercing scream cut through the air. Under the holy light, the black mist that had been the messenger of death unraveled and dissipated. It couldn't even reclaim a true form before being purified by Yegai's divine power. This was the overwhelming suppression of the holy angel spirit against evil spirit masters, unyielding and absolute. Even though the messenger of death's spirit power far exceeded Yegai's by many ranks, in mist form and under the angel's purification, he could not withstand it. The mist vanished. Huo Yuhao collapsed to the ground, dazed. He'd been preparing to shield himself with the powers of the Ice Empress and the Heavenly Dream Iceworm, but someone else had saved him. Angel! Everyone turned to Yegai, admiration clear in their faces. The holy light swept away the stench of blood and the green poisonous gas, as if by a holy baptism. But there was no time to linger. Attention immediately returned to the wounded. Teacher Wang Yan, how are they? March 7th and the others hurried over, flustered. Representing Shrek Academy in the Spirit Master Tournament, seeing the main team in such a state left them disoriented. Wang Yan's voice was heavy. Yao Hao Xuan is dead. Shishi is severely injured. Gongyang Mo has both legs broken. Chen Zifeng has a broken arm. Of the 7 main team members, only Ma Xiaotao, Dai Yaoheng, and Ling Luochen remained combat capable. Ma Xiaotao and Dai Yaoheng had been at the center of the blast, but had endured it with their strength. Ma Xiaotao only lightly injured. Dai Yaoheng hurt more seriously, but not critically. Ma Xiaotao had already reached Spirit Saint after a recent breakthrough, so her wounds were minor. Ling Luochen, protected by frost ice armor and not in the blast's core, was also only lightly hurt. It's my fault for being reckless, Ma Xiaotao groaned, guilt written across her face. Now is not the time to assign blame, Wang Yan said grimly. We need to get Shishi and the others back to the academy for treatment immediately, or their lives are at risk. You're here for the Spirit Master Tournament, right? This place is near Sea Abyss City. If you don't mind, we can take them there. The city will have the best medical spirit masters and spirit tools. March 7th recognized the green Shrek emblem and offered help. Thank you for your help. Who are you? Wang Yan asked, first expressing gratitude, then seeking their identities. We're students from St. Freya Academy. I'm March 7th. We came to deal with evil spirit masters, but you were just a step ahead of us, she explained. St. Freya Academy? The name hit everyone hard. Before leaving, they had been warned that St. Freya would be one of their toughest opponents in the tournament, the other being the Sun Moon Royal Spirit Tool Academy. St. Freya had ended Shrek Academy's long-standing dominance and taken the last championship. That the Academy's students were here and would see them in such a state unsettled them. Elder Xuan, let's go to Sea Abyss City. Shishi and the others won't hold out much longer, Ma Xiaotao urged. They all knew Sea Abyss City well. The tournament would be hosted there anyway, so the city's medical resources would be reliable. Xuanzi, still dazed, did not object. Okay, we'll leave immediately. When they entered Sea Abyss City, they were struck speechless. Meng Hongchen, the white-haired girl with an arresting face, stared up at the 200-meter-tall, opulent hotel. Skyscrapers marched away in rows. Spirit Tool electric trams darted along tracks. spirit tool projections flickered across the faces of high rises, and spirit tool airships drifted overhead, their undersides decorated with huge banners advertising the Spirit Master Tournament. The displays of spirit tool technology were so advanced that they rivaled Mingdu, the proud capital of the Sun Moon Empire. Since when has the Star Luo Empire's spirit tool tech developed so fast? Meng Hongqian muttered, displeasure on her face. The Sun Moon Empire had always prized spirit tool technology above all else. To see a coastal city in the former Douluo Three Kingdoms rival the capital unsettled her. An older man with a cowboy hat and a pipe watched calmly and then offered an explanation in a faint tone. Of course, it's Herta's city. That explains it. A pity she doesn't come to our Sun Moon Empire. At the mention of Herta, a ripple of respect crossed the group. In the world of spirit tool masters, Herta's name carried weight. The advent of the simulated universe had been revolutionary. It replaced the old Douluo arena with a safer, richer environment for combat experience, reducing deaths in real battles, and it could replicate any material needed for experiments. Spirit tool research that once stalled because of scarce materials or dangerous conditions could now proceed in the simulated universe, driving rapid advances in spirit tool technology. Those breakthroughs elevated Herta's status to unprecedented levels among researchers and inventors, even though she wasn't from the Sun Moon Empire. Many spirit tool masters regarded her as a pioneer in the field. The Sun Moon Empire had tried to recruit her, even offering lofty titles and favors. Some prominent figures like Silver Moon Douluo Kong Deming were said to have been willing to make sacrifices to secure her cooperation, but Herta had coldly refused. Still, her reputation remained untarnished. To those devoted to the advancement of spirit tools, Herta deserved every ounce of respect for creating the simulated universe and changing the future of the craft. Chapter 117, Daydream Hotel. Meng Hongqian's pride was well known at the Sun Moon Royal Spirit Tool Master Academy. He carried an air of confidence and arrogance that rarely allowed anyone past his notice. Yet despite his haughtiness, he was one of Haida's most devoted admirers. Within the world of spirit tool masters, anyone who'd ever had their advancement stalled by a lack of funds owed a great debt to Haida. If she announced she was forming a research team, a single word from her would set the whole field ablaze. Countless spirit tool masters would clamor to join. Even among the 9-rank masters at the very top, many would be tempted. Haida's achievements were simply too dazzling. She had created wonders like the simulated universe and produced research far ahead of the era across several domains. Whenever a spirit tool she personally crafted appeared at a Mortal World Alliance auction, it would provoke a ferocious bidding war. The final price long exceeded its material value and mostly reflected the reverence and obsession spirit tool masters held for anything bearing her name. After that initial admiration, the Sun Moon Royal Spirit Tool Master Academy members stepped into the Daydream Hotel, a 200-meter tower that was a landmark in Sea Abyss City and an important asset of the City Lord's mansion. Two blue, diamond-cut towers spiraled and intertwined upward like twin dragons about to soar. The facade was clad in self-cleaning photovoltaic glass that shimmered in daylight like an ocean dream. At night, the hotel's built-in spirit tools came alive, projecting dynamic marine creatures across the sides of the towers until the whole building looked submerged beneath living light. At the top floor, a suspended transparent ring, held aloft by spirit power, showcased rare plants from across the world. The lush greenhouse and an anti-gravity viewing platform gave guests a sweeping vista of Sea Abyss City. On the first floor, the lobby centerpiece was a jellyfish-shaped cluster of spirit power crystals, glowing softly like a pearl from the deep. The floor itself was a recreated deep sea rendered by holographic projection. Nimble fish darted among colorful coral, giant sea turtles glided past, and the shadow of a shark occasionally rushed by. The scene felt utterly real. Reception staff wore exquisite uniforms. The male attendants were tall and handsome, the women graceful and composed, each movement polished and professional. Luxury radiated from every gesture. While many other academy teams stood wide-eyed and stunned, Meng Hongqian and his companions from Sun Moon Empire kept their composure. They were used to high-end spirit tools and had broader horizons, so the hotel's opulence surprised them, but did not unnerve them. Other teams were less restrained. Students from the original three Douluo empires paid no mind to decorum. Several collapsed onto the lobby floor to peer into the projected seabed, trying to determine whether it was real or illusion. The ocean, after all, held unknown dangers and mighty spirit beasts that many spirit masters never dared face, and a faithful recreation of the deep sea had a pull that was hard to resist. Led by Elder Ma, the Sun Moon delegation registered at the front desk and were escorted to one of the hotel's most exclusive suites, Star Sea Dream. There were only 7 of these top-tier suites in the entire hotel, and the continent's #1 academy naturally qualified to occupy one. Besides Sun Moon, only the royal academies of the 3 great empires and Shrek Academy received comparable treatment. Meanwhile, in another top suite named Sea Rhyme Dream, the mood was tense. Bebe paced, brows furrowed. "Teacher Wang Yan, when will reinforcements arrive? Must we really compete now?" Her unease was plain. Shrek Academy's main team members were still recovering from severe injuries, and the competition was only days away. Bebe was not alone in her worry. Xiao Xiao, He Kato, and the others also looked anxious. The bustle of Sea Abyss City, the crowds, and the scale of the event had all overwhelmed them. They'd arrived the day before with Sanyuechi and been received by city authorities. Sea Abyss City had mobilized its top medical spirit tools and rescue teams to stabilize the injured members, Shichi and 3 others, but the outlook was grim. Shichi was improving, but Gongyang Mo and Chen Zifeng's injuries were catastrophic. Chen Zifeng, a swordsman with exceptional promise, had lost a hand. Gongyang Mo had lost both legs. For a spirit master, bodily completeness mattered tremendously. Such losses would have profound consequences for cultivation and future breakthroughs. Gongyang Mo's spirit beast, Rainbow Dragon, was a top-tier support beast spirit, comparable to a 7-treasure glazed tile pagoda, powerful, but typically limited to 7 spirit rings without exceptional conditions. Chen Zifeng had been a prodigy with a real shot at breaking through to titled Douluo, but losing an arm all but erased that possibility. Spirit Emperors under 20 could often reach titled Douluo. Spirit Kings under 20 might, but the difficulty rose sharply with physical disability. Not everyone could mirror someone like Shu Tianran, whose rare combination of talent, persistence, and special cultivation resources made extraordinary recoveries possible. Sea Abyss City and Shrek Academy could provide spirit tool prosthetics, mechanical spirit tool arms and legs, and had the funds to do so. But installation required fully healed tissue, followed by long adaptation and rehabilitation. That meant surgeries and recovery would take too long for this competition. In the end, only 4 of the main team would be fit to compete. Even then, early matches would hamper recovery. Faced with that reality, Wang Yan had no choice but to send the reserve team into the first rounds to buy time for the main members like Ma Xiaotao to recover. But the reserves were shaken. They all knew the opening matches would be staged before more than 1 million spectators. Many of them had never performed on such a global stage. The pressure was crippling. They prayed, silently, for the Academy's reinforcements to arrive quickly so they wouldn't have to shoulder the burden. Wang Yan gave a bitter smile. The Academy had promising inner court disciples under 20, but none matched the strength of Ling Luochen and the elites, and most were currently assigned to surveillance missions across the land. Recalling them and getting them to Sea Abyss City in time was unlikely. His promises of support were mostly words to soothe worried students. Now he could only hope Bebe and the reserves would hold on until Ma Xiaotao and the others healed. If they could endure, Shrek Academy still had a chance. Ma Xiaotao was a spirit saint, and a spirit saint under 20 could dominate any spirit master contest. The previous Holy Freya Academy had shown how 2 spirit saints and 5 spirit ancestors could sweep a tournament. With Ma Xiaotao recovered, Shrek might yet turn the tide. Chapter 118, Guye's Discovery. In this competition, so long as no other academies fielded spirit saint-level contestants, Ma Xiaotao was expected to dominate. That meant the current plan was simply to hold out until Ma Xiaotao recovered. Her injury wasn't severe. The real difficulty lay in expelling the poison qi from her body. Watching Wang Yan's expression, Bei and the others felt the bottom drop out of their hopes for outside support. They understood instantly that help was unlikely. They would have to grit their teeth and face the contest on their own. "What are you afraid of?" Ma Xiaotao said, annoyed at their deflated morale, trying to rally them. "You're all elite disciples nurtured by the academy. Apart from a few top schools, the others won't be a match. As long as your luck holds, you won't run into the strongest teams in the early rounds." "That's right," Da Yaoheng agreed, his face a little pale. "There are many academies participating, but very few have Spirit King contestants. Bei, He Kaito, Shu Sanshi, and Zhang Nanan are all spirit ancestors. That's more than enough for the early matches." They had all been to previous Spirit Master competitions and knew how they unfolded. Outside the late stages, most teams that appeared early were only at Spirit Ancestor or Spirit Elder levels. Spirit Kings were exceptionally rare. With Bei, Hikato, Shu Sanshi, and Jiang Nanan, plus Xiao Xiao's twin spirits and Huo Yu Hao and Wang Dong's strong spirit fusion abilities, Shrek's lineup would be more than adequate, unless they ran into one of those unusually powerful academies. After reassuring the reserve team, Wang Yan went on to explain the competition rules in detail. Although the venue had been moved from Starluo City to Sea Abyss City, the system itself hadn't changed. Altering the competition format required unanimous agreement among the four empires, so the rules remained the same. While members of Shrek Academy debated contingencies, Lu Jingming sat in the cloud-perched heaven suite on the top floor of the Daydream Hotel, listening quietly to Sanyuechi's nonstop retelling of her journey to the Mingdo mountain range. As one of the competing teams, St. Freya Academy was also staying at the Daydream Hotel. Lu Jingming had poured massive resources into building the place, and everyone wanted to experience its luxury firsthand. "Ah, Ming, you don't know how despicable those evil spirit masters are. They don't even spare infants. If I ever meet them again, I'll freeze them into ice sculptures." Sanyuechi waved her pink fists, her face blazing with righteous fury. She and the others couldn't stomach cruelty toward the innocent. "I'll let you vent properly when the time comes," Lu Jingming said with an indulgent smile. He'd heard of wicked spirit masters, but had never seen it himself. Given the upright nature of Sanyuechi and her companions, it was unsurprising they were so outraged. Lu Jingming did find one thing puzzling. Despite being injured by Jingliu and badly wounded by Mobius, Shrek Academy had still sent Xuanzi to lead this team. He hadn't expected that. Was Shrek really out of available personnel? Had no one noticed how unreliable Xuanzi could be in emergencies? Under ordinary circumstances, Xuanzi was tolerable, but when things suddenly went wrong, she was the most unpredictable pick. And although Ma Xiaotao had already broken through to Spirit Saint, she'd still faltered in this operation. Her reputation as the strongest Spirit King in history certainly had its ironic moments. Still, Shrek Academy had luck on its side this time. The Mingdo mountain range was close to Sea Abyss City, and the city housed the continent's top medical spirit tools, devices the Black Tower had created based on Lu Jingming's Abyss White Flower. They couldn't perform miracles like limb rebirth, but for most injuries, their efficiency rivaled that of healing spirit masters. That meant, barring permanent damage like what befell Chen Zifeng and Gongyang Mo, even Shi Shi, whose condition seemed grave, still had a chance of recovery before the competition ended. Night fell over Sea Abyss City, and the lights bloomed like a tide of stars. Standing before the floor-to-ceiling window in a black suit, Lu Jingming held a small pink fox in his arms. The fox curled against him, occasionally pressing its head to his arm. He stroked its fur, then looked down at the crowd surging below the hotel and smiled. He was confident the city would draw people in. Sea Abyss City already offered an unmatched quality of life, employment opportunities, and safety. Titled Douluo oversaw the city. The Jin Guard, made up of spirit masters, patrolled day and night, and powerful spirit tools for offense, defense, and detection were everywhere. Those protections mattered more than thick walls. With the city's continual growth, Lu Jingming believed it was only a matter of time before Sea Abyss City could rival Mingdu in the Sun Moon Empire. Much of the Black Tower's research remained unrevealed, and Mobius's arrival, though she specialized in the biological domain, would accelerate development in multiple fields. "It changes every day," Guya murmured beside him. also watching the city below. She had been in Seabis City for 3 years and had seen it develop step by step. The changes still amazed her. Guyue's thoughts, however, went beyond the city. She had come to understand the formidable young women around Lu Jingming. Their talents were terrifying. Thinking of Lu Ying, Xiadi, Jin Shi, and others, a complicated feeling swelled in her. As the incarnation of the Silver Dragon King, she had expected to be a top-tier existence among humans in talent and strength. Yet, at the same age and the same rank, she couldn't defeat Lu Ying and the others. Lu Jingming was out of the question. In that 7-person group, apart from the supportive Robin and the team favorite San Yueqi, Gu Yue couldn't honestly say she could beat any of them. She sometimes even lost in simulated battles against San Yueqi. It made her question herself. Was she truly a divinity incarnation, or was she the one being deceived? Lu Jingming's eyes dropped to the black-haired girl beside him. "You've come to like it here, haven't you?" he asked. Gu Yue's beauty differed from Robin's vibrant charm. Hers was more like a secluded orchid in a deep valley, restrained and compelling. Lu Jingming also knew that the face she showed the world wasn't her true form. Gu Yuena, her real self, was famous across the Douluo Continent as the most beautiful woman, with white hair that made Lu Jingming eager for the day she might open to him. "At the least, I don't dislike it," Gu Yue said softly. Her heart still bore a deep hostility toward humans. Hunting of spirit beasts had not ceased, but her years among Robin and the others had shown her that humans weren't all the same. Robin, San Yueqi, and their friends were kind and without prejudice toward spirit beasts, and Seabis City's development offered a sliver of hope. Over time with them, Gu Yue had gradually softened. Lu Jingming hadn't hidden everything from her. She already knew some suppressed truths about the Jin Guard. Each year, less talented students from St. Freya Academy would apply to join the Jin Guard. After joining, their powers often improved rapidly, with some even experiencing spirit changes. That phenomenon moved Gu Yue. Seabis City's research into spirits had reached unimaginable heights. Lu Jingming's annual gatherings for the city's high-ranking officials drew people from far away. Ji Yingying and Ningguang returned to attend. At one such meeting, Gu Yue had been introduced to the Black Tower and realized it was the core of Seabis City's progress. With the Black Tower's extraordinary expertise, Gu Yue suspected their work might be able to let humans acquire spirit rings or break through in cultivation without hunting spirit beasts. If such technology existed, it wouldn't necessarily make peace between humans and spirit beasts, but it could relieve the pressure on beast populations and buy them time to recover instead of sliding toward extinction. She had no intention of destroying humanity. The God Realm would never permit such a thing, and with her current strength, she couldn't contend with the God Realm anyway. She had inherited the Dragon God's wisdom and creative power, but in sheer destructive force, she couldn't match the Golden Dragon King, who'd inherited the Dragon God's power of destruction. Even the Golden Dragon King was suppressed by the God Realm. A wounded Gu Yue stood no chance against them. So her aim shifted. Alongside her original curiosity about Lu Jingming's power when she first arrived in Seabis City, she now hoped to use Lu Jingming and the Black Tower's influence to find a way to save the spirit beast race. Lu Jingming smiled faintly. After so much time spent with Gu Yue, he had guessed her reasons for staying. She was always eager to challenge him, despite being consistently defeated. He knew she wasn't a masochist or a battle-crazed fool. Her persistence had purpose. He suspected she sought the Abyss White Flower, those two opposing yet complementary powers, and he had never shown her the full extent of his authority. If Gu Yue was hiding her true form as the God King level Silver Dragon King Gu Yuena, he still believed she was in a precarious position. He would keep an eye on her. Chapter 119, The Five Great Commanders. Lu Qingluan Gu Yuena, badly wounded, could only cautiously hide in the hidden dimensional space of the Stardow Great Forest, afraid to make any large movements. The God Realm was watching the Douluo Continent closely. In the original timeline, Gu Yue awoke 10,000 years later, by which time the spirit beast race had been nearly wiped out. If the God Realm hadn't later been torn away by the chaotic currents of time and space, she probably would never have had a chance to strike back at humans. The Douluo Continent had three major spirit beast gathering places: the Stardew Great Forest, the Far North, and the Evil Demon Forest. The fortune of the Stardew Great Forest centered on the imperial auspicious beast. The Far North's fortune revolved around the Snow Emperor, and the Evil Demon Forest's fortune was tied to the Evil Emperor. In the end, the imperial auspicious beast sacrificed itself for Huo Yuhao, and the Snow Emperor and Evil Emperor both became Huo Yuhao's spirit rings, taken with him to the God Realm. With most of the race's fortune harvested and taken off continent, for the spirit beast race to still not be completely extinct, 10,000 years later, showed how hard Beast God Emperor Tian had fought. The first co-ruler of the spirit beast race on the Douluo Continent had been the Dragon God. As the Dragon God's homeland, the continent carried the origin, rise, and fall of the spirit beasts. Yet on the verge of his fall, the Dragon God laid down a strict decree across the vast galaxy. Spirit beasts were forbidden to become gods until the return of the next Dragon God. That rule acted like an invisible shackle, strangling the spirit beast race's development. Even mighty beings who had once followed the Dragon God, like Emperor Tian, were blocked from godhood by that prohibition. This was the fundamental reason for the spirit beast's plight. Spirit beasts were born with long lifespans. In the distant past, there had been no such thing as 100,000-year heavenly tribulation, but the Dragon God's last decree plunged the race into a state of perpetual torment. From that point on, whenever a spirit beast tried to break through in cultivation, it had to face a terrible heavenly tribulation, and becoming a god became an even greater ordeal than ascending to heaven. With Beast God Emperor Tian's deep accumulation and formidable strength, he already met the conditions for godhood, but even so, he was repeatedly denied at the threshold. The rise of human spirit masters worsened the spirit beast's survival. Humans needed to hunt spirit beasts to obtain spirit rings to break through in realm, an undoubtedly cruel rule that targeted the spirit beast race. Under these pressures, spirit beast numbers plummeted and their living space was crushed. Lu Jingming did, in fact, possess a method that could allow human spirit masters to obtain spirit rings and break through without killing spirit beasts. But his method was not the fusion warrior surgery, a technology too special to reveal casually. Nor was it the spirit soul technique built on the master-servant contract developed by Electrolux. Superficially, it offered spirit beasts another way to exist, but in truth it stoked human greed and drove even more hunting to create spirit souls, causing deeper harm. Lu Jingming's method was entirely different from spirit soul, but he wasn't ready to make it public. The time wasn't right. Early that morning, the first rays of sunlight slipped like silk between the skyscrapers of Sea Abyss City, bathing the modern metropolis in a warm glow. Today, the long-awaited 2024 All-Continent Advanced Spirit Master Academy Spirit Fighting Tournament was to begin. The sky above Sea Abyss City was busy. Numerous Spirit Tool airships crisscrossed the heavens, their hulls plastered with colorful posters hyping the grand event. Portraits of contestants from the various academies drew people outside to look up with eager anticipation. At the entrance of the Daydream Hotel, the atmosphere was equally electric. A row of city guards in gleaming spirit tool armor stood at attention, advanced spirit tools in hand. They formed an unbreakable human wall, clearing a wide, straight path to the competition venue for the participating teams. Crowds pressed against the cordon, their excited voices rising and falling, as everyone hoped to be the first to see the continent's genius spirit masters. This Spirit Master tournament was unprecedented in scale. Over 100 teams were participating. Each team, including main players, reserves, and lead instructors, numbered at least 15, so the total participants exceeded 1,000. To keep things orderly, teams entered the venue in staggered batches. A woman suddenly strode in, cutting through the bustle. Dressed in black spirit tool light armor, her steps strong and sure, a crimson cape fluttering like a living flame. She was Lu Qingluan, one of the 5 great commanders of the Sea Abyss City Imperial Guard. Behind her marched hundreds of Imperial Guards in matching black armor, rows upon rows, giving off an extraordinary, disciplined aura. The power emanating from them quieted the crowd. Xiao Hongchen and the others from the Sun Moon Royal Spirit Tool Master Academy narrowed their eyes as they took in the finely crafted armor. Its material and intricate design clearly surpassed the armor worn by the Sun Moon Empire's 5 great protector hands, showing Sea Abyss City's dominance in spirit tool technology. A silent storm of realization swept through them. In the Shrek team, Xiao Xiao's eyes shone. "What a cool big sister," she gushed, openly admiring Lu Qingluan as if she were a goddess of war. Bebe and the others registered the female general's power with sober faces. She looked barely in her 20s, yet her presence was unfathomable. More remarkably, every Imperial Guard behind her radiated an aura comparable to elite students from Shrek Academy. Sea Abyss City's strength suddenly felt much deeper. "She's a spirit saint," Ma Xiaotao said, her voice like a torch. Using her profound cultivation, she had accurately judged Lu Qingluan's rank. This revelation drew surprised looks from her teammates. On the Sun Moon Royal side, Xiao Hongqian and the others heard Ma Xiaotao and turned to look with both confusion and gravity. Confusion because the Shrek team's lineup didn't seem right. Besides Wang Yan, apparently the lead instructor, only 3 looked like main players and the rest were about the same age as Xiao Hongqian and Meng Hongqian. Gravity because Ma Rulong, the highest rank on their own team, had not been able to immediately perceive Lu Qingluan's strength, yet Ma Xiaotao had done so at once. That gulf in sensitivity warned them to take Shrek Academy seriously. Lu Qingluan didn't seem to notice the tension between the academies. Calm and composed, she turned to the contestants and spoke in a clear, authoritative voice. "Hello, contestants. I am Lu Qingluan, one of the 5 great commanders of the Sea Abyss City Imperial Guard. I will escort you to the competition venue. Please follow me." She led the way toward the outskirts of Sea Abyss City. The Imperial Guards fanned out and formed a tight protective ring, escorting the participants like stars supporting the moon. Outside the guard cordon, a sea of curious onlookers watched eagerly. When the teams from Shrek Academy and the Sun Moon Royal Spirit Tool Master Academy appeared, the crowd erupted in a roar. These 2 academies were famous across the Douluo Continent and favored to win. Before the tournament had even begun, people were already speculating whether St. Freya Academy would continue its legend, whether Shrek Academy would avenge past humiliations, or whether the Sun Moon Royal Academy might suddenly rise as a dark horse. Sea Abyss City's population had already surpassed 5 million and was growing. The massive influx of people injected tremendous momentum into the city's economy. Hotels and restaurants were packed to capacity, business flourishing. "Are we going to the seaside?" Meng Hongqian asked, puzzled. The route they were taking ran straight toward the coast. Huo Yuhao and the others exchanged confused looks. None of them expected the competition venue to be outside the city, by the sea. They wondered what the significance of that choice would be. Lu Qingluan, walking at the head, curved her lips in a confident, mysterious smile. She was quietly anticipating the contestants' shocked reactions when they saw the venue. When they finally arrived at the coast, everyone froze. Before them was an unprecedented offshore structure, massive beyond imagination, and along the shoreline lay a densely packed crowd of spectators. An estimated 1,000,000 people had surrounded the entire coastline. The scene was breathtaking. "Welcome to the Eye of the Abyss," Lu Qingluan announced, turning to face the still-stunned contestants. "This is the venue for the Spirit Master Tournament and also the pinnacle of our Sea Abyss City's spirit tool technology." Her voice rang with pride. Even Meng Hongqian and the others from the Sun Moon Empire, where spirit tool technology was considered the most advanced, were stunned, jaws nearly dropping at the sight. Chapter 120, Eye of the Abyss. The contestants from the Sun Moon Empire's Royal Spirit Tool Master Academy stared at the structure rising from the sea with eyes widened like copper bells. They looked as if their souls had been snatched from them. The sight had shattered their worldview. If the Academy students were like this, the other contestants from across the Douluo Continent were even more stunned. Many of them felt as if they were dreaming. What loomed before everyone was simply too shocking to be real. Rising from the water was a colossal artificial island, 3.2 kilometers in diameter, the Eye of the Sea Abyss. Its layout resembled a hexagonal honeycomb cluster made up of 1,080 precisely crafted spirit tool metal plates. Those plates were locked together by spirit power interlocks and anchored to the abyssal trench by 7 massive spirit tool chains plunged deep into the seabed to hold the whole structure steady. Above the island, 9 circular suspended viewing platforms spiraled upward, 50 meters apart, connected by anti-gravity cloud stairways. Altogether, the platforms could hold 420,000 spectators. When full, they would become a roaring sea of voices. The main arena hung at the exact center beneath the island, enclosed in a transparent space. The transparent shield isolated battle fluctuations perfectly, ensuring the audience's safety while offering an unobstructed view of every clash. Around the island, a full 360-degree water wall ran, and each drop of water had been treated as an independent projection unit. Through exquisite spirit tool engineering, the water could clearly project the arena scenes, so people watching from the coastline could feel like they were inside the venue without boarding the island. Every spectator seat was fitted with spirit pressure sensors. By simply resting their hands on the armrest sensors, viewers would feel the spirit power fluctuations from the arena in sync, as if personally present in the heat of battle, sensing the tremor of colliding spirit abilities without ever being harmed. The entire arena was constructed from 250 million precious memory metal units. These memory metals could, within 30 seconds, generate any topographical scene the competition required. Glaciers, erupting volcanoes, deserts with sand-blown skies, perfectly simulated to provide varied battlefields and a spectacular experience for the audience. The Eye of the Sea Abyss was the concentrated product of Sea Abyss City's efforts. Lu Jingming had poured enormous funds, negotiated ceaselessly, and signed untold uneven treaties to get the Black Tower to lend its hand. Black Tower supplied countless tireless puppets, and under King's design, the island was finally created. It was, without exaggeration, the pinnacle of Sea Abyss City's spirit tool craftsmanship, and arguably of the entire Douluo Continent. The Sun Moon Empire could not have built such a floating island. For Black Tower, it might not have been impossible, but for the Douluo Continent, limited in resources and relatively backward technologically, this was a miracle, the perfect union of human wisdom and spirit tool technique. To achieve an unprecedented spectacle, Lu Jingming had even used the power of reality. These memory metals did not originate on the Douluo Continent, but came from a distant world across space and time. This fantastical, physics-defying arena was Lu Jingming's trump card for the Spirit Master tournament, and from the crowds on the coast and the stunned looks on the contestants' faces, it had clearly achieved its aim and then some. Under Lu Qingluan's orderly command, the contestants boarded a spirit tool battleship moored at the shore. The battleship's hull shone with a cold metallic luster. Its sleek design hid powerful engines. As it slipped away, sea breeze and spray brushing their faces, the contestants, nervous and excited, set off for the Eye of the Sea Abyss. When they arrived, Lu Qingluan's elegant wave summoned a dozen tall golden guards. Each took a team under their escort to the contestants' exclusive rest areas. The Sun Moon Empire team and Shrek Academy were shown to their quarters. Other teams had arrived earlier and were already exploring, their eyes still wide with curiosity at the technological wonders around them. Strange devices glowed softly from the walls and hidden patterns ran along the floors. Every detail piqued the contestants' desire to investigate. After guiding everyone in, the Golden Guards withdrew with military precision, leaving no trace of delay. Wang Yan led Ma Xiaotao, Bei, and the rest of the Shrek Academy team into their luxurious lounge. The room pulsed with a high-tech atmosphere. Giant projection screens floated in the air, waiting to be activated, and various peculiar spirit tools lay about. Having already seen much of Sea Abyss City's marvels, Wang Yan and his teammates were still stunned but growing accustomed. "What is this?" Xiao Xiao asked, breaking the brief silence. She found an exquisite booklet resting on a gleaming metal table. Wang Yan picked it up, flipped through it, and quickly grasped the lounge's many functions. Sea Abyss City had prepared everything down to the smallest detail. The projection system could display real-time, ultra-clear footage from the arena and run an intelligent analysis system to dissect opponents' fighting styles and tactics. The Spirit Tool knowledge base was a treasure trove, storing match data from past tournaments and collected information on various spirits, essential for contestants who didn't recognize every spirit they might face. It wasn't complete. New and mutated spirits appeared every year, but it still provided valuable insights. A spirit tool healing pod in the corner promised rapid recovery from injuries and quick fatigue relief, so team members could enter matches in peak condition. The most exciting feature was the sandbox simulation. It could build virtual combat scenarios from the team's gathered intelligence so they could rehearse and familiarize themselves with their rivals' methods, assuming their information was accurate. These comprehensive lounge amenities overwhelmed veterans like Ma Xiaotao, Dai Yaohang, and Ling Luochen, who remembered the crude facilities at the previous Heaven Soul Empire tournament. Newcomers such as Bei Bei and Shu Sanqi were less jaded but equally awed. As contestants took their places, the spectator platforms around the Eye of the Sea Abyss began filling. Only those who had bought early tickets could board the island. Other spectators would watch from the coast or from large city screens in Sea Abyss City. Live attendance offered an incomparable immersive experience. This is breathtaking. Our city master has truly outdone himself, Wei Chanchen said from a plush spirit tool seat while stroking the armrest sensors. Beside her, Lan Yu shared the excitement. Their daughters, Lan Susu and Lan Luoluo, would soon step onto this spectacular stage as members of St. Freya Academy's reserve team. They could not miss the chance to witness the tournament in person. A sudden, deafening cheer split the air. All eyes turned to the last team boarding the island, St. Freya Academy's delegation. Dressed in elegant white and pale purple uniforms, they entered with Lu Jingming at the front, followed by Robin, March 7th, and 9 other members. As hosts, St. Freya's grand arrival sent the atmosphere soaring. Robin, with her gentle, sweet public image, had a vast following, especially here in Sea Abyss City, so her wave drew frenzied screams from the crowd again and again. Sister Robin's popularity is terrifying, March 7th said, covering her ears against the roar. Her eyes sparkled. Being in such an electrified crowd thrilled her to the core.